Hello. Welcome, welcome. I'm Calico Pascal and I'm streaming to you live from the Float Harbor Aquarium. How's everybody doing today? You guys ready? I think we're reaching the end here for our life. Oh, that's good. I'm glad things are okay and I'm glad to hear that you're safe, Kitty. I had a feeling you would be looking forward to seeing this stream. If I'm your favorite otter, you're my favorite kitty. Had an interesting day today. More life of ours, so true. We all live in this one life. You didn't expect this one. I guess that's, yeah, I hadn't thought about doing, yeah, I guess I was just kind of thinking back to, like, what have we done, and what have I not done in a bit? And I realized, well, it's been a while since we've done, like, a visual novel. I guess it's been on my mind because I started playing Final Fantasy IX off stream again. And it got me thinking to like, oh, I really enjoy reading dialogue. And I was like, oh, duh, I haven't done a visual novel stream in a bit. I feel like you missed an hour live stream. I can't remember. I was pretty sure you were there for step 2. I think step 2 is actually when you first started appearing on my channel. Or was it step 1? Maybe I'm forgetting. I was pretty positive you were there for most of step 2 though. Because I remember you were, yeah, that's right. You were telling me about some of the other options that happen for a road trip. Yeah, I should probably... I failed once again to properly prepare before stream because I was very distracted. Well, distracted in a good way. I was working on stuff. That's right! It was with our life. So I'm glad you could make it for this one when we're... you know, I'm sure there's all the DLC and stuff, but at least just for like the main base game, you know, I think we're getting to the end for step 3. So it'll be a nice, chill, cozy time, I hope. Yeah, I probably should have... I probably should have grabbed a water. I have water. I gotta grab it behind me. Let me go get it. Boop, 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 boop. I'm grabbing water right now. Grab my water. It's over here, out of reach. I don't know if you can hear it. Water! The essence of life. I haven't been very good about drinking water, so I'm going to do that now. Hello, I return. Has she seen the last of me? Oh, it's me, Calico Pascal. But yeah, I don't know. Any of you watching, if you're into Final Fantasy, there's specifically Final Fantasy 14. If you're into Final Fantasy 14, they're doing a collab right now with this boba tea place called Gongcha. I don't know if there's any around your area, but you can get like a you can get a couple of like 3 different types of keychains, or you can also get an in-game mount. And so I went on a quest to go get some goodies. I brought back some boba today for the family here at the aquarium, for the aquarium staff. And I had an unexpected visit from some friends. And then, yes, I think the highlight of my day today, just by pure luck, I was coming home from my little boba excursion, and I saw that my neighbors were looking to get rid of their TV, like a pretty big, it looks like a LED TV, and I was like, "There's no way." It looks like pretty much in, like, not brand new, but it looks like it's in good condition. And it just had the free, like, free for the taking sign on it. So I went to my neighbors and I knocked on the door to be like, "Hey, are you really, like, trying to get rid of that?" And they were like, "Yeah, we just got a new one, so we don't really need the old one anymore." And I was like, Can I have it?" And they laugh and they're like, "Yeah, of course. I mean, we were just leaving it out there for anyone to take." So, my brother helped me carry in this TV because it was way too wide for me to carry on my own. And staff was telling me, you should make sure that the TV actually works. But as far as I'm concerned, the neighbor said that the TV was in fine working condition and they just didn't need it anymore because they got their new one. So I think it's safe to assume that it is in good condition and good to go. I just need to... My enclosure is still quite a mess, so I just need to make some room in here for it. And then I'll have a nice big screen. That's like this is gonna sound really weird, but at least for my personal possession, I've never owned my own TV. Like, it's always belonged to Mama Pascal or Papa Pascal. So I'm pretty stoked to have, like, a big TV that I got for free. Very excited. Very, very excited. It didn't come with, like, a wall mount or, any other extra cables, just, like, the main one to turn it on. So if I wanted to use it as a third monitor, I technically could, but I'd have to find another HDMI and display port cable to use. But that's really all that's been kind of going on right now for me. But yeah, like I said last week, I'm just very busy. I've got a lot to do. I'm working on a lot of extra things outside of stream. It's literally one of those situations where I am, like, from the moment I wake up, I gotta eat, I gotta make sure I get adequate sleep, I still want to work out, I still have to go to work, so I'm just kind of, I've got all these extra things piled on top of my schedule, more so than usual, which I do enjoy. I do like having things to do. And of course, I could never, regardless of how busy I get, I try not to sidestep stream as much as possible. And speaking of which, so next Thursday, I'll say this again at the end of stream, but next Thursday, I am streaming, but I think I'm planning on doing it at around 1 p.m. PST instead of our usual 7, because I have things to do at 7. But I don't want to skip a Thursday, so we'll be doing an early stream. Not sure what yet. I kind of have an idea, and I sort of set up a waiting room, just like privately, for my own reference, but plans may or may not change. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But for now, let's not keep our friends waiting. So, and then summer ended. Yes, we're moving on to step 3. Yeah, it's been a while. I think last time we were doing this, I think I may have started to allow our protagonist to have some sort of feelings for our love interest. Our love interest Cove. It started off as indifference, and then now they're more friendly. So there is still a chance that romance can blossom. Who knows? Let's see where it takes us. So I'm gonna bump up the music a little more. It's a little on the quiet side. Hopefully you still hear me okay in comparison. Some of the outside work that I've been having to do required me to go back and rewatch a lot of my my old streams. Not old, I just mean past streams. And I would say that, you know, sometimes the audio kind of varies just because, like, my mic is so finicky and sensitive. So, like, you know, I can never tell, like, even if I have set things and I don't touch anything, just like environmental changes and just like things with the computer, sometimes it just changes. Or, like, you know, some days I'm more quiet than others, and other days I do a better job projecting my voice some days. So yeah, it's audio. Anyways, there was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you are heading to class. Boo. Boo, school. You're excited to go back. Anxiety gnawed at your stomach. It was a bummer. Your feelings were muddled. You know, I'd rather it be summer forever if I had the choice. There were aspects of going to school that you missed and others you would happily live without, if only you could pick and mix between bits of the summer and school. You got dressed, not envisaging the day before you, but contemplating what lay ahead of you tomorrow. Life was going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm, but school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite of the middle. Oh yes, sorry, I realized I was just rambling on. I was reading chat but then not responding. Do I drink seawater? Actually, I'm pretty sure sea otters... I can't remember. Don't take my word for it, okay? I just exist these days. I don't know what goes on in my body, but I prefer fresh water. That's just me. But I think I could handle seawater, just like a little at a time. Oyster flavored boba, that sounds good. You gotta go back soon, at least biology will be fun. Do you like life science, Dickity? I've always been a fan of science myself as well. Probably one of my favorite subjects. Let's see. I'll just reread this part. Life was going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as a norm, but school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite in the middle. So rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal? What did your normal life really mean? Great question. You considered how fondly your moms talked about their summer vacation as kids. You dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You've gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. Yeah, actually, I know someone, I guess you could call them a friend. They went on to become a teacher, and they said one of the things that they really enjoy about it is the schedule, because, you know, it's the same schedule that you kind of grew up your entire life with, where you just work a certain amount of time and then you get 3 months off for the summer. This season had brought about plenty of changes of its own, like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. You're gonna do marine bio next year. Yay! I hope you think of me. I love marine bio. Choices between that, space, and forensic stuff. Oh, forensics is also really cool. So you're happy you'd finally gotten the chance to know her. You had become extremely fond of her. You didn't really like her. Your mind wasn't made up on how you felt about her. You didn't care one way or another. I haven't really decided yet. Some of her mannerisms grated on you, but you liked other things. It was hard to come to a conclusion. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You'd agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change, thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, but once he was able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. The next thought that crossed your mind was... It would only be polite to get the door for Cove. You went downstairs to wait. Or, you couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when you arrived. Cove knew your house well enough. You could lounge in your room to wait for him. Yeah, he's not a stranger. But... why not go greet him? Usually when I am anticipating having guests over, I'll just wait by the door. You bounded down the stairs, your hand gliding over the rail. You wanted to make sure you got there first. If you didn't hurry, your moms might answer it. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you'd chosen to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it open. Cove was there, just as you'd expected. Seeing you, he smiled quietly. Hey. Hi, Cove, come on in. Once he stepped inside, you beckoned for him to follow you upstairs. Back up in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in as you knew he would. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so that he was facing you fully. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting out through the window, and chuckled. I can't believe she's already leaving, just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, her eyes smiled, tickling his cheeks. Yeah, you nodded. She'll be back. Time's going by so fast. He cocked his head thoughtfully before shrugging. He ran a hand through his hair before shaking his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog whipping off water following a dip in the sea. Cove perched an elbow on the chair's arm and propped his jaw against his curled hand. There was a natural ease to his movements, a familiarity from the echoes of all the times before when he'd sat in that same position. This was a really nice summer. Totally. It was alright. I'm glad we got to spend so much time together. I've had better. I'm looking forward to the next. You nodded your agreement. I'm glad we got to spend time together. Cove, still nestled cozily in your chair, smiled at your response. How are your fish doing? Really good. Things in the tank are stable and everybody looks healthy. That was nice to hear. You learned from Cove how hard it was to maintain an aquarium. It is true, it is so difficult. As someone who has experience living around aquariums, at an aquarium all the time, staff is constantly busy maintaining the tanks and making sure the fish are happy and healthy. Frank has been busy, keeps darting between the plants and out again when I walk by, like a game of peekaboo. Or hide and seek. Yeah. Cove idly glanced out of the window. He gave a resigned sigh. It's gonna be harder to surf, you know, with school. It's getting colder out. I might store my board away. I don't know how I'm gonna go without surfing. I like surfing, but I wish it liked me. I'm over surfing now. Surfing's cool, when we can. Sorry, Cove. Let's see, I do live in an aquarium, though an enclosure is a little bit different from, like, you know, an aquarium for fish. I'm not constantly, like, in the water. I need both water and air. I wish I had more surfing experience. because currently it is at 0. I can't stick to the board. He gave a light smile coupled with a shrug as response. Calico! Cove! The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You'd nearly forgotten the world outside your room. From the guilty look on his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Cove's mom is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mom and Miss Priest had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. Oh, he doesn't want to say goodbye to his mom. His whole body tense leaving the house, and Cove froze altogether before you both could cross the street. The door's open. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. She's really gonna leave. You smiled at him reassuringly, gave his back a pat. You rested your hand on his arm. This isn't the last time you'll ever see her. You weren't sure what to say or how else to react other than being there to support him. Cove's bottom... Oh, no! Cove's bottom lip quivered and he turned away. Thanks. Yeah. It's okay, your mom will be back. At that, some of the conflict wearing on his face eased a bit. Together, you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room surrounded by his mom's packed things. Hey, kids. Good timing. I just called the taxi. And hi, Calico. So glad I get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put a face to the name I've heard so many times. She winked, and Cove pouted on cue over the teasing. Oh, Mom. Mothers. Really happy I got to meet you too. Hey, we're not this cold. Hopefully, it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kara turned her attention back to the boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, and then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly. Y'all.
I'm so glad.
And I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. Well, not a 100% success, but still a passing grade, I think. Thinking back on everything that happened this summer, he started to look sheepish. Cliff scratched the side of his head, and an awkward chuckle escaped Cove. There were ways it could have gone smoother. I'm still keeping that in mind for the future. Good for you, Cliff, and I'll be trying harder to stay more in the loop. You watched as Cove smiled softly at both his parents, and you felt relieved seeing how much the whole family had come together since you first met them. Despite any underlying troubles, love was still there. Oh. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived. Rolling up in front of the house and in clear view of the open door, Kara stood up, smiling sadly. Well, that's my ride. Yeah. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kara as you all filled out of the house. Father and son went with Kara's bags in hand. Once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. He stood uncomfortably, and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
Hey, Calico. Hi, Cove. When did you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. Thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time. Sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't even thinking that your mom would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. Oh, good old Cove's dad. Just a friendly guy. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. Derek came to hang out often, so it was inevitable that the two had met at some point this season. I think so too. It was apparent Derek would have preferred to have gotten there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened. and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help? Nah, don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kara took one last look at everyone inside. Alright, don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling, but Kara still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport, and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home, otherwise we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there. I can do that. I generally do that too for my friends, or whoever I end up meeting that day, and usually Papa Pascal always wants to know where I'm at, just like out of safety concerns. And could you call tomorrow too, so I can tell you how school went? Of course! I want to hear all about it. Kara put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move on to squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead. Mom! I love you so much, baby. She was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while waving and took her seat in the taxi. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm around across his back.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye. Travel safe. Kara rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to call out with your family and hers. Wave goodbye. Watch quietly. We're also gonna say goodbye. As you added your voice to the others, you watched Kyra's smile grow larger. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out into the empty street, still looking in the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. You got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier. He was finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? Yeah, I don't think so. Not in agreement. You shrug. I don't know. Summer isn't over until the second I fall asleep. I mean, this is true, but I'll just agree. That's what I was hoping to hear. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly, and everyone else there smiled at him, even Elizabeth.
Well?
Ma clapped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? I look at him with his with his hands on his hips. You guys, isn't there something I can do? Your moms exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head.
How sweet.
That's very sweet, Derek, but it's alright. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You are meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mom laughed a little over her own joke. You watched Derek look away, discouraged.
It's okay.
That's okay. I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it. You wondered if Mom's joke had just reminded him that he wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Mom grinned sympathetically. Her comment was meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Ma tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? Y'all can come back in about an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Not spoiling anything, but you better watch Derek now. You aren't prepared to see him aged up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Grown up? Mom nodded in agreement. Oh, he's so little. A little baby boy. Another stunning idea, Lonnie. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sounds like a plan then. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I can be out of your hair this afternoon. You should come by later too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mom seemed amused as Cliff rubbed his neck nervously. He grinned a wavering but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. He looked over the assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too. With as many people as you're feeding, that's going to be a lot of food. Didn't you hear what we told Derek? It wouldn't be fair to make you cook when we're the ones who are inviting you in. Ma raised an eyebrow when Cliff waved it off.
Come on.
I insist. Derek would be missing time with his pals. This would be a break for me. I'm quite the chef. Ma and Mom exchanged further glances before Mom shrugged.
True.
An airtight argument. If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Chef Cliff. Cliff's grin widened and seemed more hyped than you'd expect him to be about helping with lunch. Cove shook his head, a fond smile on his face. Oh, Dad. Then all of us grown-up people will be heading inside. I assume the rest of you kiddos are staying out? Maybe not all of them. Ma tilted her head, a silent question for Elizabeth. Your sister thought for a moment.
Alright.
I'll stay with the kids.
That's fantastic.
That's great! Both your moms smiled at her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. But with the plan decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. Elizabeth looked at you and the others, a curious expression on her face. So, what now? You silently wondered if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. Then again, she could just genuinely want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's questions. Want to go down to the shopping street? It's been a while, and I don't think there's a lot of other things we could agree on. Liz is so pretty, I agree. She's very cute. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome to me. Unlike you guys, I haven't been there 1,001 times. It's new to me. Let's do it. You strolled across the road as a group, down to the beach and then to the left. It took less than 15 minutes to arrive, one of the conveniences of Sunset Bird. The four of you looked around at the familiar shops, trying to see if anything caught your attention this time. Derek was the most enthusiastic. He checked out every stall with his eyes wide with wonder. Elizabeth and Cove were in good spirits as well. That's so cool! He ran over to a street magician who was currently doing a card trick for a group of enchanted tourists. Derek clapped when the magician showed a middle-aged man his card. Wait, is this after the incident with Liz and you? Not going to specifics in case spoil. This is the end of step 2, so we're moving on to step 3, if you can remember where that is. Though I think if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, I think we already passed it. Derek turned back to the group with a curious gleam on his face. What does it take to perform here anyway? Do you have to ask somebody, or do you just show up and start doing stuff? Who would you even ask? It's a public street. Hey, Miss Mayor, can I pull a rabbit out of my hat? Please. Flopsy is well behaved, I promise. Derek chuckled, his eyes searching up and down the scene. Maybe there's a boss of the shopping street? No one does any of this around my neighborhood. It's just regular stores behind walls. It's different if someone wants a real store. But here, I'm pretty sure people are just putting on their little shows whenever they want and do whatever. That's so neat! Would we be allowed to do something too? Cove laughed and Derek began almost vibrating with excitement. He's vibrating. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. What would we do? Well, I don't know what. Not yet. I mean, I just found out it's a possibility, you know? But there's gotta be something. We know cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that'd really get a crowd pumped. You thought it was a great idea and wanted to be a part of it. I mean, I'm always down for shenanigans. I'm in. Woo! I knew I could count on you. Now we just need the act. It'll come to us. Right. With some amusement, the gang continued to peruse the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings with a dangling, badly misprinted globe that everyone laughed at. Cove picked out a blob as Iceland, but Derek thought that it had to be Greenland. You know, this is a world with what looks like 9 continents. I think you're both wrong. Whoa, I didn't know you could skip and go back. You wanted to side with Code. You back up Derek. You agreed with your sister. No, it's Australia. The other three giggled at your interjection. It's clearly Australia. Suddenly, Ko froze. You stared at him and then tried to see what caught his attention. When you saw a familiar face down the way, it all made sense. Between the crowds, his bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy! Jeremy slowly drifted his eyes down the street and his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Derek frowned and Ko sighed. Neither of them were happy to see him again. He stood there, shocked. He glared at Jeremy. He waved at Jeremy. He decided to smile at Jeremy. He looked away. I feel like usually in situations like this, where, you know, you encounter someone you're not, like, really, like, maybe things are kind of tense, I still try to, you know, you're out in public with other people. We're not gonna try to make a scene here. He was mean to Cove. That's true. I mean, we can't be too surprised. You know, there's only like one shopping area. Yeah. But it's good you're reminding me because it has been a while since we were last here. You narrowed your eyes and projected your dislike. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Her gaze swept over Jeremy without a hint of a clue. Jeremy simply scoffed to himself and waded deeper into the crowd of people. Derek relaxed and exhaled loudly. Yeah, recap info is very appreciated. It has been quite a long time since we did step 2. I'm glad he's not going to start anything. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See? That was a mean kid.
What?
Huh? She still didn't get it. That first summer day hadn't made nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek, but he smiled and waved it off. Just forget about him. I already have. He laughed, and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. Your eyes wandered over to where Jeremy disappeared. You hadn't forgotten the day you met him either. Well, for our sake, it'd be nice for a little recap. He's only going to be in town for vacation with his parents he hated. That glimpse was probably the last time you would ever see him. Mention that realization to everybody. Jeremy's probably gone for good now. It's time for him to go back to wherever he's from. Yeah, guess we won't have to worry about that guy anymore. Derek kicked at a little rock in the road. It clattered forward and then rolled under a stall. But I still think it's kind of sad Jeremy turned out to be, well, like he is. It would have been nice to make another friend. Cove shook his head. He was clearly not broken up over what might have been. Maybe he'll become nicer in the future. I'm happy it's over. Let's be a little hopeful. If he hates his parents, maybe there's like something going on there that's making him like very bitter, you know? Elizabeth rolled her eyes with a strange farewell to the odd boy, not interested in the slightest. She clearly didn't understand his impact, and at this point she didn't want to understand. You couldn't help but wonder, though, what would have happened if you would have interacted with Jeremy more? Yeah, always a pity when someone decides to be a meanie. Could have been great. Jeremy wasn't like anyone you had ever met before. You thought he was horrible. You thought he was weird. You thought he was stupid. You thought he was kind of pitiful. You thought he was kind of okay. You didn't know what to think about him. I mean, I feel pretty bad for him. Again, you know, whatever aggression that he may have projected onto us, I think, could be, you know, whether or not his hate for his parents is a valid reason or not. You know, he's got stuff that he needs to work through. I only hope for the best. You and the group moved on from the stall and from Jeremy. It didn't take long for everyone to return to the joking. You all enjoyed what little time you had left as Elizabeth mentioned the hour was almost up. I always like this music. The little trip had flown by, and lunch must have been waiting for you now. Derek bounced on the balls of his feet. Come on, guys, let's get going so we can eat. I'm starving. Me too, actually. I did not eat before stream again. I can't wait. I know I'm hungry. Ko stretched one of his arms lazily. Let's go then. He looked at him appraisingly. Yes, Coach. Please, I'm so lazy. Oh, I can't walk back. Hey, Cove? Yeah? Could you carry me back home? What? Cove's smile said as he was amused, while the tilt of his eyebrow was full of disbelief. You explained you wanted a piggyback ride. You didn't want to walk back. You told him it was a special occasion. I just want a piggyback ride. Will he accept? I want a piggyback ride, and you're the only one big enough to give me one. Please, pretty please, 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 please. Me getting on my knees. Please, 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 please. Cove sighed and shook his head. Elizabeth and Derek became a chorus of laughter. Come on, come on. I'm just a little guy. Surely you can carry me on your back. Come on, Cove. It'll be fun. All right. Yippee! Cove stepped over to you. He looked like he couldn't believe what he was doing. Your lips quirked into a large smile. Aw, yeah. Thanks! He carefully crouched down in front of you so that you could climb on. It took a little bit of clambering to get yourself completely up on Cove's back. However, when Cove slipped his arms under your legs and stood up, you felt very secure. Elizabeth watched with a smirk on her face while Derek laughed even harder. It was fair to say that your antics were entertaining. You were glad Cove went with it. Cove carried you home, contentedly. Other than a few good-natured jokes at your expense, he didn't complain. Wow, you're so strong. Wow, ooh, you're so strong, Cove. He made it all the way back to your house without putting you down. It was a pleasant walk home, and in no time you had made it back. Dang, he really carried us all the way home. Derek got the front door and held it open for everyone as you each moseyed inside. The three parents were still in the kitchen. They looked up and waved. Welcome back, everyone. You made it just in time. I hope you're hungry. When Cove had brought you inside, the parents couldn't help but notice the odd convenience. Your moms were unsure, and Mr. Holden raised an eyebrow. Did you pull something, Calico? I'm okay. Aw, Cove, you've gotten so strong. And reliable, too. What a guy. Cove rolled his eyes at the commentary, then started walking to your couch. He bent down and you let yourself plop back on the couch. Thanks for the lift. Cove exhaled loudly and shook out his arms. He just seemed relieved that he'd made it. So, did everyone have a nice time out? She gestured for people to take a seat at the table. Plates and silverware have already been placed out. You took your normal seat. Elizabeth sat across from you, and Derek took the seat to your left. Cove sat on your right. Have I ever played Error 143? I have not heard of that before. Is it a visual novel?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a great time. It was fine. Cove shrugged, not willing to say more than that. Yeah, the Bankai went off without a hitch. Your joke got some chuckles going around the table. That's good in my book. Casually, Mr. Holden sat in the empty seat across from Cove. He smiled at you and all the other kids. Mom set down a platter full of water glasses on the table. She looked down at the gathering. It's a good thing we have 8 chairs. I can't remember the last time we've had a group this big over for a meal. Can you pass the drinks down to the other side? Make sure you all get one. Sure. Those close to the cups obliged and started offering waters around. As everything got set up, Ma chided Elizabeth to take her elbows off the table. And you shouldn't slouch. She pointed to Mr. Holden, who was leaning forward with both arms on the table. Oops. Mr. Holden seemed unsure about all the sudden attention and carefully rearranged his posture to something suitable for a fancy dinner. He smiled sheepishly at Ma. Elizabeth rolled her eyes, and Ma gave a level look at her. You shouldn't be impolite to guests in the house, either. Elizabeth groaned, long and long suffering. Ma giggled, and Mr. Holden chuckled. "The lot of you could learn a thing or two from Derek. He has the best manners here." Derek blushed, but it was true. His posture was upright and formal. He even held his fork gracefully. His table manners, on top of all of his attempts to aid your parents, made him the model of meal attendee behavior. Wow, what a good guy. Sorry, turning on the light. It's starting to get dark. It's nothing. It's true, though. You have been a lovely guest. I've noticed that, too. It's always nice when you stay over, Derek. Derek smiled and sat a little taller in his chair. Oh, he's like so proud. And do you have anything good to say about our other guest? She looked deliberately at Cove with a teasing smirk. Or is there just nothing to say? Well, Cove is my number one, but he does still clean his hands by wiping them on his pants. Cove, no. Please, go wash your hands. Cove frowned at that and absentmindedly brushed his hands on his pant legs. Your mom's laughed lightly. Elizabeth, you should know, after all these years, Cove is hardly a guest anymore. Cove smiled awkwardly. Thanks. You choked that Derek was basically an adult. Let's tease Cove a little bit. Why are you wiping your hands on your pants, boy? Don't think I'm gonna let the pants thing go. Cove looked over at the window, not wanting to face the truth. Everyone ate their meal together and continued to hang out for the afternoon. After the food, you and the others played a couple of games and talked about plans for the upcoming year. Time passed by quickly, and soon it was time to part ways. Mr. Holden talked to your moms and Cove drifted over to you, knowing that as soon as his dad finished up, he would be leaving. It'd be cool to stay, but we have some stuff to do before everything closes today.
Okay.
Yeah, bye. Could you move? I need the phone. Cove raised an eyebrow and Elizabeth impatiently gestured behind him. Cove realized he was standing right in front of where the receiver was placed. He sidestepped out of the way and shook his head, clearly thinking Elizabeth was rushing too much. Your sister made a beeline for the phone and started dialing the number of what you figured was one of her friends. Knowing Elizabeth, she was going to be on there for a while. You, Cove, and Derek shuffled closer to the door. It seemed like Mr. Holden was wrapping up his conversation, so everyone started saying their various farewells.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Cove. We gotta do this again sometime. Yeah, see you. Cove turned to you and smiled slightly. Bye, Calico. You hugged Cove goodbye, you pat Cove on the back, you nudged Cove's shoulder, you ruffled Cove's hair, you waved. What? We're not old. We're not older than him. You give him a hug, because he carried us home. He deserves a hug. You stepped forward and spread your arms wide. Cove only had a moment to react before you encircled him in your arms. Cove took a second to return the hug, surprised. He leaned into you and held on, then he hovered nearby with a small smile on his face when it ended. Seriously, dude, we'll have to hang out later. I'm gonna miss you during school. He punched Cove's arm softly. Cove still rubbed the spot afterwards. Cove and his dad left soon after that. Your parents started cleaning up the house, and Elizabeth was still chatting to her friends on the phone. It was just you and Derek left. He elected to stay outside in front of the house to wait for his dad to pick him up. He decided to keep your guest company, although he was originally Cove's visitor. A light summer breeze blew through your hair and Derek shifted his weight from foot to foot. Thanks for waiting with me. He kicked at the ground distractedly.
Well,
Dad's still gonna be a while, so do you want to go for a walk? Sure, I don't mind. Who doesn't love a good walk after eating a meal? That's the good stuff. The two of you walked down the street again, just wandering without a destination planned. It was a quiet stroll, too quiet for Derek being the company. You turned to him when you had noticed that he wasn't saying a word. That was unusual. Derek always had something he could chat about. You weren't sure if you should ask about it. Somehow, you ended up at the old park near the beach. You glanced over to Derek once more, still expecting him to say something any second now. However, nothing came from him. In fact, now you noticed a frown creeping on his face. Oh no. What's wrong? Derek smiled when he realized you were watching. At least, his mouth was turned up. There wasn't anything that really felt happy in the expression. He turned away and the smile fell off his face. His eyes stared intently on the ground and you raised an eyebrow. Is everything okay? If you want to talk about something, I'm here. I'm a little sad. It's just, with school starting back up again, it's gonna be harder to visit. I'm gonna have homework and clubs and practices and everything else. It really sucks we go to different schools. His face screwed up and his fists were closed tightly together. This was really concerning him. Oh dear, baby boy. What if we don't have time? Channeled some optimism into the conversation. We'll make time. We can talk over the phone and have plans for weekends. It'll be okay. Derek looked up at the sky. It was orange and purple with little wisps of clouds scattered around. A plane flew high with a jet stream trailing behind it. Then he turned to the ground again. Derek's face was tilted far enough down that it was harder to read his expression. Hey, Calico, I actually wanted to talk to you about something, if you don't mind. There was a pause and he waited for him to finish his thought.
Sorry.
I was just kind of wondering, do you like guys at all? Like, would you ever want to be with someone who was a boy? Sorry if that's weird to ask. I don't want to be with a guy, maybe? I don't know. He didn't answer him. I kind of don't want to talk about it. Okay, then he hesitated before finishing his question. So, what I mean is, is there any guy you think is kind of cool that you like around here? Not at school or anything like that. No, guys, let's go. Women only. Let's go. He ducked his head further. He thought about it. Oh, this didn't happen to you in your game. Wow, you're seeing some new content. What's this Riz kid doing? Whoa. I like you, well, I like Cove. Mr. Holden. We only have eyes for one man. There are a lot of guys I think are cool. Not right now. I don't really want to say that. Oh. Derek shrugged and then started to mumble and wonder. Maybe you don't get what I'm trying to ask. Derek pulled himself together. Somewhat meekly, he looked at you while he tried to project confidence. His posture was too tight for you to believe it. He was nervous. You know, thinking ahead and everything is important. You've got to get yourself a game plan and all that. It's good to make plans, especially backup plans. He babbled, all full of energy and forced gusto. Well, anyways, I heard about this thing where people make pacts with their good friends that, if they don't find anyone else, then, they get together. It's together, like, they get married and stuff. So I was thinking, since it's good to have plans, it might be cool if we, maybe, if we did something like that? His eyes widened and he started to make frantic hand gestures. Just, then we never have to worry about the future or finding someone. We can set it like a whole decade in the future. Forever from now. Yeah, he's shooting his shot, holy moly. I don't even know what to say. We'd have graduated high school and probably college too. We'd have jobs and be really grown up. I mean, we'd probably have our own places, and maybe our own pets, and student loans and cars. Derek babbled on for a while more. It was as if all the words he held in silence during your walk had burst out now all at once. So, yeah, what do you think? Oh, whoops. That's a good idea. I think having a backup plan sounds smart. You accepted the deal because you were fond of Derek. I'll think about it. I don't think that would work. I'm sorry, Derek. No! Do you like me? Oh, come on. Like, he literally just, poured his heart out. You can't be this dense. This poor kid. Oh, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, he's right. Having backup plans is smart. Decisions. Yeah, I mean, we're still only teenagers. We're like young teenagers. It's so early. Why are you even thinking about student loans? my guy, we should be worried about summer assignments and stuff. What's going on? I do like you, though. Right now. As a friend. I also like Cove. As a friend. He's like 12. He's like, can you imagine? I'm gonna have a car, we're gonna have our own place, we're gonna have pets, we have student loans, we're gonna be in college. It's kind of a big decision for just being put on the spot. Yeah, sure. Don't worry about it. It was just an idea. Thanks for hearing me out and answering my questions and stuff. He felt a little worried that Derek wasn't happy. When he saw your face, he smiled encouragingly. I promise I'm not mad. I was just wondering. I'm sure things will be okay in the future, no matter what. Oh. He's so cute. I love, like... You didn't spend much longer at the park after that. Derek didn't want to miss his dad, so you both made your way back to your street. After Derek went back home, you decided to settle in for the night. Stretching your arms over your head, you noticed that the living room and the phone were free. You called Lee. Who's Lee? I can't remember. Let's just chill. I think Cove is way cuter, though both are gentlemen. They're both very cute. I do like them both. You flopped onto the couch and wiggled until you were positioned just right, and you knew when it was perfect, because all the exhaustion from the day started fading away. Oh, okay, yes, that's right. Thank you. Sighing contently, you were pleased with this end of the day. Looking at the clock on the wall, you saw that there was only about 10 minutes until your moms would be insisting you had to go to bed so you could be rested enough for school. You stretched your legs out on the couch and sighed in defeat, watching the minute hand change 1 minute closer to bedtime. No, my summer, no, it's ticking away. You rearranged yourself, feeling restless, and looked out the window. Startled initially, you spotted a figure out in the hills. It was Cove! What's he doing out right now, at this hour? Don't you have to be getting ready for school, like me? What the heck? When the surprise faded, you realized it really wasn't that much of a shock at all. It was exactly something Cove would do. You smacked the window to get his attention, or you went outside to meet with him. Let's go see what he's up to. Strolling casually, you went over to the front door. When you arrived, you noticed how many fireflies were out that night. They drifted along lazily, barely minding your presence as you waded through to reach the top of the hill. Cove turned towards you as you approached, and you noticed right away that Cove looked happy to see you. Hey. You had a bounce in your step. You weren't sure how long you'd get before your moms roped you back inside for bed. Hey, what are you doing out here? Nothing. Not really. He shrugged, seeming unhappy with his own answer. You stared at him, waiting for him to continue. Well, I guess I was feeling kind of weird about stuff, so I'm getting some fresh air before bed. You really should. I'm not his mom. I can't tell him what to do. I know how you feel. I feel good. I hope you feel better. You shrugged back. You nodded. I know how you feel. It's hard to stay still. Tomorrow is going to be the start of a new year. At the mention of school, a small noise escaped him. Cove let himself fall back onto his butt and then all the way down, so he was laying on his back. He looked up at the sky. You sat on his chest? No, what are we doing? Let's sit in the grass. You lowered yourself to sit nearby. He had been lost in thought, or was possibly waiting for you to situate yourself, but he started speaking unprompted again. Thanks for telling me about my dad, and the money he offered you to be my friend. This was probably the last thing you were expecting out of him. Cove seemed to pick up on that and stretched his arms out wide in front of him. This is where we met, remember? It happened that day. You could recall the sad little boy with the pink cast who you found in this very spot. It felt like a lifetime ago. It really did feel like a very long time ago. I kind of have a strange feeling, looking at you. Not in a bad way. Just thinking about you then and really seeing you now. It's something. It was almost unbelievable how much of an impact he made on your life just by moving in next door. You couldn't even imagine what your days might have looked like in a world where you hadn't met him. Cove glanced back at you, waiting for a response, and you had no idea what to say. Cove just stared at you unblinkingly. What? It's you. Huh? He snickered before answering. He looked thoroughly amused with your reaction. That's what you do all the time. So I'm being you. Hey, I blink, at least. I don't do it all that much. You were stunned he noticed enough to take note of it. There was no response to that you could give, but you noticed Cove smiling softly at you. He wasn't trying to be mean with it. Honestly, there weren't many people you could think of who could tease you about something like that. Returning his smile, you realized there was no denying that you two have been around each other for a long time. Cove broke the quiet before it could fully settle.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, see you then. With a final wave, Cove headed for home, but you stayed there a few minutes longer. Your mind kept going back to a simple statement. See you tomorrow. No matter how much was changing around you, there were some things in your life that always seemed to remain true. The hills felt warm to you that night. Before you knew it, you were getting comfortable under the covers in your room. Your mind couldn't help but still be buzzing with thoughts about the future. You felt excited, nervous, or unsure. I'm looking forward to it. There's little doubt in your mind that things were moving forward, and there was little doubt in your mind that things were moving forward, and you couldn't wait to find out what changes were waiting for you on the horizon. Slowly, your eyes grew heavy as you drifted off to sleep, your mind spinning with wishful thoughts. Hello, Lord Bloxian, welcome. We actually are just wrapping up on... Well, so last time I played Our Life, I had gone through all the little bits for Step 2, so now we're at the end of summer for Step 2, and you made it just in time for Step 3. You were ensnared in a dream when a noise from the outside world jostled you. Your eyes snapped open. Noises happen, you just tried to forget it. You stubbornly kept your eyes shut. Oh, what's going on? The light clatter continued. Now that you were more alert, you could distinguish it was a tapping sound. Quiet, slow, but persistent. Each beat was like being poked. You couldn't ignore it. You lifted your head from the pillow and looked for the source. Not much work was needed to puzzle it out. It was from the window. Well, with that, you knew exactly what it was. From the color of the light filtering into your room, it was too early for anyone to be awake, including the sun. It had barely hauled itself over the horizon, but that didn't stop some people, it seemed. You sat up in bed and opened the window wide. Cool air, not yet warmed by the day, tickled your face as it pushed into your room. And, just as you'd expected, there was your neighbor, crouching on your windowsill. He was fully dressed, though not for school. He was wearing a wetsuit and a fond smile. Hi, Calico. You stared back, blinking. So technically we won't be back to school for a few more hours. His voice was delicate yet deliberate, each word a careful explanation. Classes haven't actually started yet, so do you want to hit the beach with me one more time this summer? Aww. Here we go again. It's way too early, Cove. You're crazy. Cove, you're so cute. His smile widened affectionately. He rushed to get changed into something suitable while Cove climbed back down to the ground level. Your limbs, still half asleep, struggled somewhat as you attempted to coordinate them into a swimsuit, but you got there in the end. Soon, you were tiptoeing out of your front door, clutching a towel. Cove was already there to greet you. Your eyes met. Cove's gaze darted to your destination and back to you. You checked the door was closed, gave him a thumbs up, and the two of you leapt into action. Wordlessly, you began to run down the familiar path ahead, Cove beside you. The thrill of your illicit outing made you want to laugh. Not that you dared. If anyone in your family looked out and saw you, then your summer would be back to being over. One glance at Cove told you that he was exactly the same, holding back snickers for fear of being hurt and caught. The towel streamed out from under your arm like a cape. You were running so fast downhill that simply keeping your balance and not tumbling down was a real threat. It just wasn't enough of one to make you slow your pace. For every step you took, the beach was a little closer and the day a little brighter. What lay ahead of you would arrive, and you were happy to meet it. It's very sweet. I do think, I should be better, try to be better about this, but I think it's always nice if you have obligations later in your day, if you kind of try to wake up a little bit early to do stuff beforehand, then you feel like, you didn't just wake up to go and do that obligation for the day, you know? And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I feel like me being busy just, it gives me something to look forward to before, like, other obligations, if that makes sense. In between? What's this? In between? Step 2 and... oh, wow. Wow, we got glasses now. Wait, did we always have glasses? Yes. Oh, yes, we can change our glasses. Or we can have no glasses. I am fond of, like, the half oval, or, like, a round, very round shape. Let's do, like, let's do the half oval, too. No, this doesn't change hand size. Slender, large, medium, chubby. My hands are, I would say, pretty slender. Birthmarks, scars, rosy cheeks. Hey, freckles. Acne. Just do a rosy cheeks. I think I don't have any stuff. Pants, yeah, this is all pretty much the same. Do we still have braces? I can't remember if we had braces earlier. We probably did. I don't think we should have braces anymore. Yeah, bracelets sometimes. Ooh, Your dad, dark skin with black hair and pink highlights and cute round glasses over amber eyes. So me but cuter. Aww. Let's see. What else did you say? So triangle fish enemy from Kirby 64 is called Fishbones, apparently. Oh, that's cute. I do like that design. That enemy design. Ring? No ring. Headscarf. Nail length. Short. Yeah, it's still short. Nail color, plain. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, black, plain. We can keep it plain. Alrighty. And we're done. Oh, okay. My feelings for Cove. Comfort. Direct, relaxed, or nervous? I think we're still pretty relaxed. Our interests? Have we moved up to crush? I don't think we are quite here yet. We've been fond. I think. Perhaps we are. Perhaps there's possibility. I think I love a good slow burn. So we started at indifferent, then we became friends, we're fond. Now we're getting into like a what are we stage? What are we? Fingies. I put my fingers together, you know. Woo. What are we? Begin step 3 at relaxed crush. Yes. Oh, we can customize Cove. Personality, appearance, both, neither. I think if I remember correctly, if I don't manually change it myself, will it just give me like a randomized one based off of what has happened so far in the story? I can't remember if I had done any personalization last time. No, it's default? Okay. Let's take a look. What's Cove looking like these days? This very much reads like his dad. Starting to look like his dad. His old man. Yeah, this is the default, I think. The like mid-length hair. He's always had glasses. Maybe from childhood. Maybe he wears contacts now. Or maybe he still likes glasses. I don't know. He's had the same glasses for a long time. I kind of like the short hair, though. It's a look. It is a look. Choices. If you choose to customize his personality, you could choose how direct he acts crush-wise. Oh, okay. Let's see. I actually like all these options. Tough choice. Oh, you can have stuff on his left wrist now. Necklace? Oh, no necklace. I like the necklace. These different bracelets. Huh. I like this one, and then get a watch on the other. I'm a fan of button-ups. Earrings? You got earrings, boy? One. Oh, I can't even see this. Oh, I guess because his hair is on the way. Oh yeah, you can see it now. Yeah. Let's leave it at none. Glasses? Oh, I can't choose between these two. Yeah, I like the wood one, but I like the shape of the more like rectangular one better. Next page. Whoa! Pajamas? Holy moly. Okay, this doesn't have too much variation. Yeah. No, I mean, you would still have glasses when you're going to bed. Next page. Swimsuit. Okay, we blue. I like blue. Oh, formal wear. What kind of shirts you got? Oh, a pattern or a plain? Oh, I like a pattern, personally. Okay, done. Oh, wait, I didn't even get to go to his personality. Wait, what happened? Hold on. Okay, tutorial time. It's tutorial time, everybody. If you choose to customize his personality, yes. Enjoy him being skinny while at last he gets buff. Oh my gosh, he's gonna start going to the gym? He chose one and not both. Since you're romantically interested in Cove and are old enough to start being physically affectionate more seriously, you can choose what initiative level he has throughout this step. Wow. Spicy. Making sure the player experiences what they want is important in our life, but always putting your choice first can potentially make a relationship feel one-sided. So we've added some flexibility in how it works out. Low initiative means that Cove will occasionally ask to touch the MC, and in those situations, there will always be an opportunity to say yes or no. For example, he won't simply lean over and kiss the MC as a greeting or in an emotional moment. Every piece of physical interaction will be either initiated or approved by the player before it happens. Middle initiative means there will be those certain times when Cove requests to touch the MC, many chances to initiate affection on your own, and also he will be pretty regularly give affection automatically. One example would be giving the MC a kiss because he's happy or emotional or something else. And in other situations, you can choose not to make the first move in order to give Cove the space to be the one to act afterwards. I see. Overall, the love interest can get romantic, but the player's agency will take priority. High initiative includes everything middle does, but it also means that player agency will be reduced to a degree in favor of having Cove give physical affection even more frequently and with less prompting. Instead of all the major affection-giving situations being led by a choice menu for you to decide on, some will instead be replaced by Cove acting automatically. This level is only recommended if you're very comfortable with physical affection and would prefer to simply see it happen rather than always holding the reins on it. However, this level is mostly relevant if Cove ends up as your official boyfriend at some point. Situations where high-level initiative makes a difference tend to come up in scenes that are exclusive to being in a relationship. The parts that are also included in the middle initiative which will be seen whether you're dating or not. Once you pick your level, it can't be changed partway through a step. The choice only comes up at the very beginning of a story section. We hope you enjoy whatever initiative option you decide on. That's very nice. What initiative level would you like Cove to have for step 3? I like the middle. I like having a choice. The start of classes... Wow, look at the sunset. The start of classes ended the relaxed free days of summer. It didn't take long for you to get back into the swing of the school year routine. Schedules and homework became the new normal. Oh, save? Oops. That's okay. We save now. It's too late. It's just too late. We've made our choice. This is our fate. It didn't take long for you to get back into the swing of the school year routine. Schedules and homework became the new normal. Derek wasn't around nearly as much. With school and after-school activities, there weren't many opportunities for him to take the trip out of your neighborhood. Yeah, oops. Well, because I realized... Or we were doing the end of summer for step 2, so I didn't really think to save because I was just like, we're gonna get to step 3. But feel free to remind me to save. Though I haven't been making multiple save files because I just kind of want to go through the story as is with the choices we make, and then I'm fine looking up the rest on my own later. Derek wasn't around nearly as much. With school and after-school activities, there weren't many opportunities for him to take the trip out of your neighborhood. Sometimes you'd hear that he was at a training camp or something like that, but you weren't always sure what he was up to. You save at every good bit so I can go back, also just in case I want to change how I look or how Cove acts. Yeah, that's good that this game has those features. I always like, if I'm going through a game for like the first time, it's even for our visual novels, unless I'm really feeling like I want to see all options, then I'll make multiple save files. But for this one, I think we've just been kind of going through it as like one journey. Whatever ending we get is whatever ending we get. This is the ride that we're trapped on. We can't get off this ride. Sometimes you'd hear that he was at a training camp or something like that, but you weren't always sure what he was up to. No, I don't want to lose contact with him. He's my friend. He still kept in touch over the phone as best as he could. The Jeremy kid did disappear after that summer, and no one ever heard from him again. Where he went or what he might be up to was a mystery. More summers came and went like the waves on the shore, coming in and out. In your second year of high school, someone new started to visit Sunset Bird, a sunny girl named Terry Brooke. She was a friend Cove made due to both of them being ocean obsessed. Wow, she's just like me for real. Terry was more than glad to befriend you too. Someone close to Cove had to be good company, she felt. You were pleased to get along with her as well. Yay, friends! Hi, June! Welcome! You're just in time. We just started step 3. Previously, the last hour and a half was just me talking about my day, and then ending and wrapping up on step 2. So now we're in this new phase of our life. Terry was tight with another girl who you had known distantly from school for a long time, Miranda Eckert. You saw more and more of her as time went on, thanks to Terry and Miranda's own outreach. After a while, all of you developed a real friendship together. As for your home life, the Pascals also had developments. Changing laws and public perception countrywide made it possible for your moms to openly wear their wedding rings without questions. Yay! Though they had a wedding years ago, it was only recently that the union was officially recognized everywhere in the US. That was a good day, to say the least. Elizabeth came into her own and stopped being quite as irritable. She no longer worried about perceived childishness as she grew up for real. She didn't even mind being called Lizzie again, although most people used Liz. She eventually graduated high school and moved out to attend college in another state. Wow. It was a lot for you to adjust to your older sister being gone. Liz never let you forget her role in your life, though, and kept in touch. That's sweet. The creator has another game called Our Life Now and Forever. Played the demo and it was just as good and adjustable. I don't know if the full game is out yet. Oh, I don't think it's out yet, but I did. Actually, funny you mentioned that. Our Life Now and Forever, the demo, was the first stream that I ever did. Not on YouTube, but on Twitch. And I only did it on Twitch because my YouTube channel wasn't quite ready yet. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to doing Now and Forever once that comes out. And I think for that one, I want to bring back my friend Al's, because Al's was the one who I was playing the demo with. So I think Al's would have a fun time doing the full game with me on stream, if, time and schedule allows. I'm telling you now, there's something special about Terry. Keep an eye out on her. Okay. Ko's relationships with his family improved over the years. Kara visited several times after that summer, and things became easier between the two. Oh, that's nice. Good for them. He was also closer with his dad than ever before. He knew they talked more, and that helped prevent a lot of friction before it could start. It's good. We stand communication. Cove had become so much more outgoing than when you had first met him. He was so bright, he shone. He would willingly join conversations, make jokes, and put in an effort not to use overly blunt phrasing. Cove's interest had shifted from when he was younger. He still enjoyed more studious pursuits, but he also spent just as much time on athletic activities. Wow! Things had shifted between you and Cove. You had been friends for years, but the closer you became, the more you felt for him. You didn't view him in a purely platonic way anymore. Gasp. It was strange to look back on it all. The future faded into your present, and then it was simply the past. Even the most fundamental parts of your life couldn't last forever. You felt that the most pointedly the day you inevitably graduated high school. It was over, and you would not be going back ever again. From now on, what came next was your choice, and you would be directing your own life. No, it's our life. It's our life, you guys. It's not my life, it's our life. That was where you were currently. The summer after school had ended. The first summer of true freedom. What used to be a reprieve from the typical was now going to be your first step into adulthood. One fine summer morning, you took in what had become a very special scene. The whole family having a meal together. Wow! Oh my gosh, she's so big now. Liz, you're so pretty. Your big sister Liz still hadn't lived at home full time for a couple years, but she arrived last week to spend the season here since it was an off semester for her. She wanted to make sure she was in town because you had now also graduated high school, so who knew how much rarer these moments will become in the future. He watched on as Liz laughed good-naturedly over a comment Ma made. Her Elizabeth-only mindset had only been a phase. Nearly any nickname was welcomed at this point in her life. Strangely, even though she'd moved away, you'd lately felt closer to her than you had in a long time. I find that, that phrase, distance makes the heart grow fonder. I find that to be quite true. I feel like, also in my personal life, I feel like I got closer to my siblings and my parents when I was away from home for some time. You idly scooped up more of your breakfast and chewed absent-mindedly. You were a vegetarian, you were a vegan, you were a pescatarian, you were a proletarian, you were a picky eater. You generally ate whatever. I'm not picky. Just like you and your sister, she's the best. I was so sad as a kid. Aww. Yeah, that's always hard, especially if you've obviously grown up together and you miss their presence. And the meal you had reflected that. It included just about everything your moms had made, though you often made your own food nowadays. With Liz around, though, your parents made even more options than usual. Your sister had been vegetarian for a while, and they wanted to make sure she had choices too. Wow! Oh my god, our moms are old. No, moms. You have to live forever. Conversation had gone on idly, without you fully taking in the words, until your ears were piqued when Ma started on a bit of town gossip. And so that's how I heard the news. Alright. Now stop burying the lid and tell us, what is this so-called news? Ma giggled as she cast a look across the table, satisfied that she had everyone's attention. Well, it turns out the Donnells won't be renting out the condo up the street as per Sunset Bird tradition. For the first time it was be nearly 2 decades. A chorus of gasps and shocked expressions were had all around. Gasps, you guys. They're not renting it out this year. After the initial shock, your eyebrows pinched. Ma may consider them by name, but you and Liz always viewed them exclusively as the mean old couple who would yell at anyone under 25 who crossed their paths. Your ma continued on with the story, spreading strawberry jam over a piece of toast as she did so. They've decided not to take big trips anymore. Friends and family will be visiting them at their home. That's nice for them then. Have a good summer, mean grandparents with no grandkids away from us. That's a relief. It's kind of sad they can't travel anymore. I hope they're still okay, even if they are mean. My thoughts exactly, Liz. Finally, they can piss off. Yeah, I mean... They're getting old. They've had a very full life. It's nothing to sneeze at. And you, be nice, Liz. You don't want to end up like them, do you? You and your sister crack smiles at the joke.
Well,
At least they won't be here to yell at my children anymore. Lonnie. And that blunt comment got laughter from all three of you. Engrossed in conversation once more, you continued to chat with your family until the meal was over. Wow. Step 3. Wow, we're at step 3. Third time's a charm. Oop. As it went, once the food was eaten, the cleanup had to be done. Liz took the role of washing the dishes and passed them to you for drying and putting away. You had a set of cups in front of you that needed to go on the top shelf of the cabinet. It was effortless to do. You were very tall. The task was pretty straightforward for you. You were tall. You had to stretch, but it was doable. You're an average height. It was a struggle to get them up without a stepping stool. You were short. A stepping stool was mandatory for you. You were very short. I am average height, to be very clear. On the shorter end of average height, but I am technically average height. That may not seem like much to others, but it was a noticeable change from how small you used to be. You felt great about how things were. You hoped you might still grow more. You wish you had stopped growing earlier. You didn't think about it much. You didn't even know what to think about it. I feel fine the way things are. You used to struggle a bit with how to feel about that, but you'd come to appreciate it over the years. Now Liz looks really tall. Liz shook you out of your internal musing by starting up an impromptu conversation. She seemed to be voicing the thoughts that had been buzzing around in her own head. I have to say, going back for another semester this fall is pretty intimidating. You'd think after the first year or two I'd have a handle on things, but no. He stole a glance at her, still placing cups in the proper place. I guess it's only fair. My first round was pretty general classes, and year 1 of my architecture major was the basics. Now it feels serious. I have to actually know some things. The laugh she gave was flippantly airy, but the way she scrubbed at the plates held more force than necessary. I know you can handle it. Oh, I think it's really cool you want to be an architect. That does something hard. You merely listened to her venting. She's got it. She's always had things under control. How sweet of you to believe in me. Thanks. Your older sister's mouth quirked into a small smile. It'll be fine, one way or another. Oh, but I'm not trying to scare you away from college, if that's even your plan. What is going on with that, anyway? You'd had a solid plan set for a long time. You came to a firm conclusion recently. You had a kind of general idea. You had absolutely no idea. You hadn't even let yourself think about it. It was too much. Kind of an idea. You answered the question as much as you were able and willing to. Liz's smile grew more reassuring as you did. You made it through 12 years of full-time education already. You've got plenty going for you. Sometimes it still felt hard to believe your public schooling experience was over. In the end, you had graduated at the top of your class. You soared through with high marks. You had to work extremely hard, but were rewarded with great grades. You'd been an average graduate. You struggled to reach the benchmarks, but made it. You didn't try hard, but made it regardless. I was, at least for me, when I was in high school, at the end of my high school years, I had a lot going on in my personal life, so I ended up being average, but over the course of, like, my entire time of being in school, I always tried to put my best foot forward. And you were going to miss it, and you felt satisfied leaving off there. You wish it could have gone better. I feel a little satisfied leaving it as is. It had been a familiar and fulfilling part of your life, but you are ready to move on. Senioritis. It wasn't just senioritis, though. There were so many other things at play. Liz picked up on the silence her question ended up creating. She decided it was time to make a closing statement on the topic. Aw, you're a good kid, Calico. Do what's best for you, and we'll be here to back it up. Wow. very big sister thing of you to say. Thanks, Liz. At that, Liz happily passed the final dish your way. She waved a soapy, soaked hand as a farewell and moved on to her next task for the cleanup job. You refocused on getting the last pieces put back where they belonged. You eventually moved on to a new chore, but that was interrupted by the sound of your cell phone. My shell phone? Ring ring. It was the phone's default ringtone. No. You used a silly novelty song as a ringtone. You set one of your most beloved songs as your ringtone. It's always going to be the silly novelty song. Music for this game makes you think of intro segments in 90s R&B songs. I can kind of see that. I do like the music, that it's like, it sets the tone well, but it's not very distracting from the story, I think. It's like the oyster phone. Yes, my shell phone. You casually picked it up from the table where you had placed it earlier. The phone was a couple years old at this point, having been a 16th birthday gift from your parents. They decided which model to get, but you got to pick the color. It was... ha ha ho, ho ho. So my shell phone is actually... I mean, I think I've said this before. My favorite colors, I have multiple. Your yellow, blue, and green. But my shell phone is actually blue. And it was just a phone. You didn't do anything to decorate it. No. Always has a special charm attached to it. Which was... oh, the crab keychain Co. bought you when you were a kid. A string of beads, a cat face, a music note, a heart, a crystal, a small shell, a lantern based on the game of Lake of Voices. It's gonna be a small shell. This small shell on my shell phone. The screen lit up as you gave the little device a swipe with one finger. You were informed by caller ID that it was Lee. You weren't surprised. Well, that's my cousin! Despite having busier and busier lives and not living in the same town, you still had a good relationship with your cousin of the same age. You got the one... oh, that's cute too. Especially once the miracle of the both of you having your own phones actually happened. She got hers first, though. Tapping at the accept button, you answered her call. A familiar, bubbly voice came through right after. Wow! Oh, look at my little shell charm! It's so cute! Oh, wow, look at my shell phone. It is a blue. I wish it was like a light blue, though, not like this. I mean, this blue's fine too, but I prefer like something closer to like this blue. Hey, Calico. Hiya. I trust I'm not interrupting anything major? Only some cleaning around the house. Oh, then you're welcome for my call. A distraction from that must have been desperately needed. Yes, thank you, my savior.
My pleasure.
She giggled, and you could hear the jangling of the jewelry she must be wearing. Yes, thank you, the kitty, my savior. You miss when phones had a loop for charms. Me too. It's a requirement. Like, I wish... I mean, technically my shell phone case, it has a little, like, section that you could technically loop things, but I feel like it will get in the way of, like, the charger and stuff. But I know they do make phone cases that do have that specific little loop now, since phones just don't make them anymore. Yeah, exactly. Nothing amazing is happening for me either. I'm bored and felt like chatting. My morning shift ended, so I'm free for the rest of the day. Woo! That's good. You were off from your part-time job today. You hadn't started working anywhere yet, so you couldn't relate. I'm pretty sure that when I didn't get a part-time job for a long time. Unlike you, Lee had started dipping her toes into the workforce as of late. It made keeping in touch frequently even more complicated. But you both managed. What about you? It's been pretty normal.
Cool.
Cool, that's you then. So, how's Mr. Cove Holden doing? There was a teasing bent to her tone. She was never willing to let up on what was going on between the two of you. But that name was incredibly familiar to your ears. Cove, your next-door neighbor for the past decade at this point. The two of you were close. That was all you could think on it. He is your best friend, at least you hadn't admitted you felt more than that just yet. He's an important friend, but you secretly hoped that he'd tell you he felt more than that. He was someone you had affection for, but you didn't want to take the relationship further. That he was far more than just someone who lived on the same street. Wow! No, we haven't skipped to this part yet. I want to see all the good stuff in between. He's my bestie, but things haven't gotten further beyond that quite yet. Someday, you thought. Someday he'd know exactly how much he really meant to you. But that day is not today. Are you even surviving without the boy being 10 feet away at all times? Or is everything right with the world again and he's back? No, Lee. He isn't here. Just like he wasn't here yesterday, or the last time you asked, or the time before that.
Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Can you blame me? Doesn't seem like you should have made his grand return already? Plus, I want to visit soon, and he needs to be there too. You have a Hawaii souvenir on yours, IRL from your sister. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I always have, like, I always love getting, like, little charms and things, because I like figuring out what bags and stuff I can attach them to. Wow, we look like such a couple. Haha. Yeah, a couple of besties. So true. And they were neighbors. Exactly. You guys get it. You could understand where she was coming from. This was certainly outside the norm. For the past couple months, and the last few weeks especially, Kova had been going to his mom's place in Nevada. Oh, that's good. He's going to visit her. The two of you still regularly stayed in contact over texts and calls, but still, your mind began to drift back in time to all the prior trips he'd taken to visit her. Almost every year, he'd have to go away for a while, and then he'd be back. Oh no, it made you sad and lonely when it happened. You never minded it. It was kind of nice to have breaks away from each other. You weren't a fan, but made do. It was just shitty. It upset you. Your younger self worried about him leaving for good. Oh no. No, I think he deserves to spend time with his mom. And he will always come back. You sent him letters the entire time he was away. Well, that's really sweet. Your mom's helped you ship out care packages to him and his mom. That's also very cute. You gave him special treasures to take with him before he left. That's also very sweet. You kept an eye on his house for him while he wasn't there. You were incapable of doing anything until he was back. Oh no. No. Well, care packages should include letters too, right? Let's do this one for him and his mom. It was always full of really great stuff. He sent you regular letters in return. That's how it was in the past, but lately he had been trying to see her as much as he could before taking long trips to another state became too impractical to do. Yeah, because it's quite expensive. His part-time work could become full-time soon, or he could be moving somewhere else for school. Cove hadn't actually been entirely clear what his plans were after graduation. Cove was hesitant to speak on that, even with you. It couldn't be avoided forever, though. You both knew that.
Well,
He's still just the same. He's still, like... he's still afraid of change. Maybe we should switch this up to a non-Cove related topic? Sounds like a plan. It's so funny seeing someone play this who wasn't all over Cove and blushing constantly. I like to mix it up. We love a good slow burn. It's gonna make like all the juicy stuff like that much more exciting when it happens in the end. That's my personal opinion on it anyways. You know, you gotta build up that tension, and so then when it happens you're like, oh my gosh, it's happening now, and then you can really like just take it all in. Find out why he doesn't like changing the age up. Okay. Let's see, the rest of the conversation rolled on. Not much longer though. Lee had to go and you need to finish your responsibilities around the house. As one should. Both of you exchanged goodbyes, and then you went back to what you'd been working on before the call came in. Oh, look at her cute little hat to go with her cute little dress. Oh, Liz. As you wrapped up the last of your chores, you were approached by Liz wearing a cheeky smile. I've got Mom's keys. Want to get out of this tiny town to do some shopping in a real city? Wow, shopping trip. That sounds great. Good, I'm driving. Yippee! That was obvious, you didn't know how to drive. You were glad for that. You still just had a learner's permit. Even though you could drive too, it was her plan. She could do it if she wanted. It was nice of her to do that. You had a license, but tried to avoid driving when possible. Yeah, I think back then, after graduating high school, I was just learning how to drive. But because I was just learning, I was very uncomfortable with driving. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. I really, really didn't want to even get my license, but you kind of have to. Around Float Harbor, unfortunately. To get around, you must have a vehicle. Go get your wallet and anything else. We're going now. With a nod, you made a quick detour to collect your stuff from your bedroom. You had money saved up from gifts you'd received. Wow, probably like graduation gifts. Let's go spend some money. After making sure you both were fully prepared for the long haul to the largest city in the surrounding area, you buckled into the car. It was a smooth ride there, with light conversation about what shops to stop at and the radio blasting. Liz controlled what was played, but she made sure to pick songs she knew you liked. It was something the two of you had always done for each other. Aww. The trip there breezed by, and in what felt like no time, you had gone from cruising down the road to cruising through the mall. Liz had her interests to check out, and you yours. Your hobbies and skills were still the ones you developed when you were younger, and gone to new things since you'd grown up. I am pretty consistent with what I like. When turning a corner down a new length of the mall, your eyes caught on a little gift store. Your friends and family had recently given you many presents for graduating high school. That's right. You realized you wanted to get a graduation gift yourself to give to Cove. You had a gift of your own ready to give to Cove when the chance came. You really appreciated what you had gotten. That sounds cute. A little graduation gift. Let's get him something. Graduation may have already come and gone, but Cove wasn't really around then anyway. You keep an eye out for something good, though you might have something nice for him at home already. Eventually the mall was explored in full, with every shop of note being checked over. Rather than going home, you decided to walk over to some smaller stores nearby. Liz had many thoughts on the topic. Honestly, malls are not a bastion of society. Even if smaller stores require extra distance, the brands are so much more. Then your sister abruptly stopped speaking and walking, right in the middle of the path. It was a good thing no one was behind her. She seemed entirely shut off for a moment. Liz? Hello, Liz. Earth to Liz. The attempt to catch her attention was unsuccessful. Something else had all her focus. Before you could puzzle out what might be happening, she began to mumble out of the corner of her mouth. Calico, don't draw attention, but look. What? With a harsh whisper and a subtle jerk of her head, she urged you once more.
Hey.
Look! You followed her gaze as best as you could to a large bunch of colorful teens strolling down the same path. Okay. You faced back over to your sister with a confused expression and an unspoken question. What were you supposed to be saying there? Calico, doesn't one of them seem familiar? She was practically bouncing at this point, so you looked the group over again, and this time you saw what she was seeing. Amongst a collection of strangers was brown hair, gray eyes, and lots of freckles. That's Shiloh! Our Shiloh, from when we were kids! Yep, that was definitely him. Oh my gosh, he grew up. Little baby boy. I can't believe it. He's honestly just there. That's hilarious. That's incredible. Oh, but how do we talk to him? We'd have to pull him away from all those other people and... What if I'm wrong? Your mouth opened to reply, but she cut it off with her own answer to the question. I've got it. I'll shout the name Shiloh, and then we can act like it wasn't us. If he responds to that, we'll know without a doubt it's him. Calico, keep an eye out to see if he looks. Liz, can you just try talking to him normally? We are not doing that. It's a terrible plan. Why do we have to be the one who watches? Let's try it. Fine. You didn't even know how to react. Yeah, I mean... Why do I have to be the one that watches? Why don't we just talk? I feel like shouting out a person's name when he's a teenager with other teenagers. This doesn't sound like it's a good idea. Likely without even hearing what you had to say, Liz put her plan into action. Shiloh! She loudly projected the words across the way and then put on an act of casualness, turning her head away from the scene while brushing at the skirt of her dress. In a supremely awkward moment, you could only stand there as attention in the area shifted to the two of you thanks to your sister's shout. But of the many startled bystanders who became altered to your presence, one of them was a boy. From a distance, his large eyes met yours. He looked A wide grin took over Liz's face. She pushed the rim of her sun hat up and away from her face while swishing back around to greet her old friend directly. Shiloh! Waving, she stepped a bit closer to express her intention to meet, without really closing the gap. She wanted him to come to her. Who you presumed to be Shiloh looked surprised at the call-out. He stole a quick glance at the crowd he was with and hesitantly glanced back your way. He was trying to double-check something. Liz remained steadfast with her gaze trained on him, and ultimately, he broke away from the rest of them. After a light-footed jog across the brick path, the young man pleasantly presented himself in front of Liz and you. Hi! Hi, I like your hat. Just that simple greeting had Liz giggling.
Hey.
Hello. I'm not sure if you remember this, but I am Lizzie and that's Calico. We were all friends when we were little kids. His already wide eyes grew even larger, their gaze darting between you and Liz. His previously chipper demeanor faded into something delicate. I'm really sorry, but I think you have the wrong person. You could tell not being instantly recognized was going to make this exchange more of a challenge. Still, Liz was undeterred. It was a long time ago. You were really young. I get why you feel like that. However, I'm positive I'm right. You're exactly the same. That face, the freckles, how genuinely you try to phrase things. You're even still wearing a hat. Instinctively, he looked up at his headwear, then creased his brows, not making the connection on why the hat meant something to her.
Okay.
We knew each other, okay? An uneasy smile settled on him as a silence followed Liz's speech. He was picking his next words carefully. And then the quiet was obliterated by a new voice bursting into the conversation. Shiloh! What are you doing? The rest of the group already left. A field trip is not a vacation. We are on a schedule. Startled, your head snapped towards the path. A distinctly unhappy individual with piercing magenta eyes, dark brown skin, and a sharp jaw stormed your way. He carried a cloud of authority with him, despite looking like he wasn't even 18 yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to ditch. Shiloh, whose name was now officially confirmed, gestured with a hand to add to the explanation of his absence as the stranger watched impatiently. They thought they recognized me as someone they knew, but it was a tiny misunderstanding. Liz, she looks so mad. Liz theoretically as well as literally put her foot down at that, stomping in frustration and getting more childish the longer she was around her childhood companion. We do know you! Shiloh merely shrunk in on himself. The tone he spoke with was pained. Sorry. You honestly couldn't tell if he was apologizing for the upset feelings of your sister, or the palpable dissatisfaction of his new acquaintance. That in itself was very Shiloh-like. Oh, you know him, is that it? The stranger spoke in a dismissively scoffing tone, as if the words sounded so absurd to him it was almost amusing. Almost. But the sternness of his demeanor quickly reinstated itself. Well, do you know me? I'll tell you, I'm someone who has been forced against his will to be aware of what's going on in Shiloh's ridiculous personal life for a year. If the two of you had any importance in his general day-to-day existence, it would have come up by now. Don't bother trying to exaggerate any trivial connection you might have. It's not good enough. Who is this guy? He's with us and you'll survive without him. Now stop loitering in the road. It's rude.
Excuse me?
We're the rude ones? The high-strung ranting got an audible gasp from Shiloh, who finally started to speak up again in defense. Nate, that's really mean. It's also true. We're leaving. With that declaration, the unofficially introduced Nate indignantly spun on his heels and walked speedily towards where the group went, completely confident that Shiloh would follow behind. Oh. People can sure have bad attitudes, huh? Why can't they just try to get along? It's not hard. Don't worry though, I bet you won't have to deal with him again. And I'm sorry I can't stay to talk to you, but I hope you have a really nice life. Wow, a whole night's life? Bye! Yeah, that was it. His final parting words given, Shiloh left the two of you behind to catch up with his own life that he had to go live. Liz watched his exit stunned, only to frown when it hit her that he was really gone as quickly as he appeared. It happened so fast you hadn't even been able to get a word in. She sighed, all the energy built up releasing with the breath. Yeah, shut up, rude person off screen. I could have told him his last name was Fields, his birthday is October 30th, that would have proved it, but no. I'm sorry, Liz. No, he's not dumb. Yeah, well, whoever Nate is, he sucks. Well... You felt so bad for your big sister. He had been such a close friend in her early years, and the reunion was completely ruined. Do you want to go catch up with him? Liz merely shook her head, pushing off childish thoughts. I think we can leave it there, thanks. He's in the middle of a high school field trip, and it was already enough being able to see him. There's something reassuring about witnessing firsthand that he's still out there, enjoying his own part of the world. Though if given the chance, I could definitely have a few words with him about the company he's got. She laughed, but you could tell there wasn't much humor to it. She was mad at that guy, even if she was happy to let Shiloh go. Maybe they're only with each other because of the trip, and it's not usually how things are.
Right?
True, we can only hope the same for him as he did for us. Have a nice life, Shiloh. We'll miss you. We'll miss you. Liz smiled at you. It had the self-confidence you knew so well from her. Had that happened to you in the past, meeting an old friend after a long time and they act like I'm mistaken? No! That's the worst. I'm sorry. I feel like usually... I haven't had it happen where I've ran into someone and they didn't remember me, but I've had the opposite happen, and then it took me, like, you know, they obviously kept trying to remind me who they were, and then obviously I remembered, or like it all clicks. It came to be. Come on, kid, let's finish our own trip. Yeah, we're here to shop. No matter how either of you really felt about the occurrence, it was something you simply had to accept. People you know just disappear and reappear in the most unexpected ways. The two of you enjoyed what remained of your outing until it was time to return home. By the time you arrived back, the sun was already beginning to set. You arched your back as you stretched your arms towards the ceiling. While it had been a good day, it had enough activity to cover an entire week. Liz tried to hide a yawn behind your hands. You weren't the only one feeling worn out. I'll be heading up to your room. I mean, the guest room, since mine stopped being available as soon as I was out the door. Her tone was light. She had quite a lot to say on the subject when you'd first taken over her bigger room after she left for college, but there have been many trips back home for her since then. The room hasn't been hers for years. It was more of a running joke now that she continued to bring the topic up to this day. Yeah, I didn't see your name on it. Aw, I just wanted to follow my big sister's shoes. Thanks for being so gracious for giving it up. I had no choice. A small laugh was shared between you and your older sister. You better believe you'll be back in the guest room when you've got your own place and we're both in town for a visit. We can take turns. You'll have Thanksgiving, I'll get Christmas. What a reasonable and mature suggestion. I'll think about accepting it. She flashed her familiar grin and you couldn't help but feel glad she was back around, even if it was temporary. With that, she plodded off to the spare room. You were ready to do the same. Moving into a new space was your first opportunity to decorate from scratch. Wow, we get to design our room! Yippee! Wow. Whoa. Oh, cute. Huh. I'm a fan of the blue layout still. Extras. A laundry basket. Window. Left. Right. Oh. Oh! Wait. Are there more? No. Let's see. I like the plants. A seashell. Walls. Left. Back. Right. Lights. Oh. Lights? Right? Left? Oh, okay. I like the lights. Oh no, if we have it in the back, you can't do the lights. I like the lights better. Floor? Oh, a little bedside table. Oh. More plants. A cushion. A little place to sit. Oh, we could have a good No, that's I guess from this distance, I was gonna say a guitar, but I'm pretty sure that's a ukulele. I like the bedside table. And then the cushion. We're done! You're really satisfied with the feel of your tiny part of the world. You picked purple. I like purple too. That was also very cute. As your thoughts drifted, you tried to bite down another yawn. It was no good. Your bed was now lodged in your mind, and all you could think about was collapsing on it. You trudged up the stairs to your room. Stepping inside, you closed the door behind you, blocking the rest of the house. When you turned back around, you realized you were not alone there. Comfortably perched on the windowsill was someone very familiar to you. Whoa, you just made yourself at home? Welcome in. Cove Holden. The shock knocked all words out of you. Huh? How are you here? Surprise? His tone was easy and relaxed. It certainly was a surprise. You hadn't expected him to be within the state, never mind your own house. He hadn't answered how he had suddenly just appeared back in Sunset Bird, though to be fair, he had been so astounded there hadn't been much of an opportunity for him to chat with you. Yeah, he's a good-looking fella. Thankfully, Ko was only waiting for a good moment to start and began to explain. I got in about 15 minutes ago. No one was home, so I figured I'd come in the usual way. The window. A small smile had formed on his face. You were still staring at him, unable to blink in case he disappeared. You could still barely believe that he was really there, mere feet away from you. I left my bags in your backyard. I hope that's alright. That was when you truly understood. Cove had come straight to you upon getting back to town. You were his first port of call, taking precedence above all else. Wow. Wow, it feels so special. Even though you hadn't been in when he called, Cove had ensured that he'd see you at the earliest opportunity, rather than allowing his plans to change. You laughed. The realization made you bashful. You shook your head at his antics. You stayed frozen, the shock yet to melt away. You walked over to join him. You ran to Cove. Aww. I shaky my head at you. You're so silly. Everything, from the situation to his solution, was such a Cove thing to do. Cove dropped from his seat on the windowsill, landing lightly on his feet. He made his way over to you, the smile still resting on his face. You're too crazy. I'm so glad you're here. I missed you. Trouble's back in town. I can't believe my eyes. It's the most amazing man in the world. You needn't say anything. I missed you. You ruffled his hair, you gently punched him on the arm, you wrapped him in a gentle embrace, you pulled him in a bone-crushing hug. You jumped into his arms, you smiled at him. You gave him a hug. Cove squeaked as you crushed the air from his lungs. He awkwardly managed to wrap his own arms around your back in return. Taking your shoulder for a pillow, he laid his cheek against you. Aww. I missed you too. Even if he hadn't said it outright, you would have gotten the message from his body language. Cove was grinning widely, his raised cheeks burying his eyes, which gleamed like hidden gems. You jumped in his arms. It's okay, Kitty, I don't blame you. Get it, girl. But he looked at you as if you were the most exciting treasure of all. How was the trip? Yeah, I had a great time. Cove told you about how his trip back had gone. His mom was doing really well. She had a project in the works that she was thrilled about. As a result, Cove was going to be sticking around in Sunset Bird for the time being. Things were settled, as much as they ever could be. With Cove back once more, you felt at ease. Cove stretched his arms out over his head, his eyes on the window and the world beyond. The sun had set while you'd been busy reuniting.
Well,
I should probably get my stuff and see Dad. He glanced over to you with a familiar, expectant look. Wanna come with me? You know I do.
cool.
Sounds good. Cove began to head to your bedroom door. Again, you just got back, but it's time. He insisted on a piggyback ride. It was a special occasion. Cove. He paused, turning to face you once more. You coming back is a big moment, something worth celebrating. What I'm trying to say is that I want you to give me a piggyback ride. Pretty please and thank you. Cove didn't say anything, his eyebrows raised in disbelief.
Seriously?
Really, Calico? You want me to carry you downstairs? You nodded. Cove rolled his eyes, but he bent down so that you could clamber onto his back. Even while he was crouched down, Cove's back was pretty high up, and it took a bit of effort for you to properly get up there. Cove wobbled as he straightened up, not terribly unaccustomed to balancing someone on his shoulders. Cove carried you down the stairs. He had to duck down a couple times, the ceiling grazing against your elevated head. Still, you safely reached the ground floor of your house. The door's gonna be in the way. Get off here so I can open it up. He bent down to let you slide safely off his back. Seeing things from your usual height was disorientating after getting accustomed to looking down at everything. In all the excitement of Cove's return, you hadn't been remembered the gift you'd prepared for when he got back. It would be best to give it to him now, before you left your house. Can you wait here for a little while? I got something for you. Cove's eyes widened as he tried to conceal a smile. He toyed with the collar of his top. Really? I mean, you didn't have to do that. He nodded with some eagerness, trying to imagine how he'd react when he actually saw it. You'd bought Cove something special. The gift you'd chosen hadn't been something you could buy. Then how did I get it? Oh, I guess... Oh, I see. We made him a gift. It was... The orange shell he'd been entranced with since you were kids. You quickly went up to your room to collect the shell, knowing exactly where to find it. Oh, hey, Gone Puppy. You've been... I don't know if you just made it, but welcome. Or have you been lurking? Yes, it's very sweet. You quickly went up to your room to collect the shell, knowing exactly where to find it. It had been housed in the same box since you were a little kid, after all. Taking great care, you extracted it from the case. Though it had been a long time since you'd taken it out, the grooves were as familiar to your fingertips as the opening line of your favorite song was to your ears. Cove had admired the shell ever since you first saw it, declaring it to be the best of all your treasures. Despite that, he never accepted your offers to take it. You hoped that might change tonight. You closed your hand around the shell, not wanting Cove to see it until you were ready, and headed downstairs. When you were back in front of Cove, you cautiously lifted your arm up. He looked on curiously as you unfurled your fingers to show him the gift. I know you don't want to take it from me, but what I want is for you to have it. Cove stared down at the familiar shell nestled in your palm. His mouth parted, though no words came out. He drew his eyes up to meet yours silently, and found the answer to whatever question he couldn't speak. He put his hand over yours and broke the silence. Okay. It was as quiet as a whisper. His fingers were as gentle as his words, brushing against your palm as he took the shell from your grasp. He cradled it carefully against his chest and smiled at you, his eyes bright. I'll keep it forever. Wah! Oh no, your other messages didn't go through? I'm sorry. You just joined a few minutes ago. Well, welcome. You are also just on time. We kind of had gone through a little bit of scenario, but we haven't done, like, the initial parts of Step 3. We're still kind of, like, in the... Like, we just started Step 3. Cove reverentially laid the gift safely on the counter, but he didn't turn back to face you once he had ensured it was secure. Though his face was angled away from you, you caught his eyelashes fluttering as if batting away tears. His throat bobbed as he swallowed bubbling emotions. No! No crying! He knew that Cove could be sentimental. The gift, and all the memories and feelings tied up in it, seemed to have taken a toll on him. When he began to sniffle, you felt the need to reach out. Cove? I can't. You just... Calico, I don't know what to do. He forcefully scrubbed at his eyes, like he was trying to push the tears that threatened to spill back in. Oh, Cove, it's okay. Do you need to cry? No. No. Nevertheless, tears had begun to spill down his cheeks. Even as he wiped them away, more took their place. Thank you. His voice quavered as he spoke. Cove scooped you into a hug, pressing you so tightly against his chest that your breath escaped in a short squeak. He burrowed his face against your neck, his shed tears damp on your skin. You hugged him back. You're welcome, don't worry about it. You're such a crybaby. Cove let out a steady breath. It was far removed from the shaky gasps that had accompanied his sniffles. The tears had dried. His eyes were a little red, but open and at peace once again, he smiled, fully recovered from the emotion that had overcome him. You are really, seriously too nice to me. You smiled back. I don't think there's such a thing as too nice when it comes to you. Cove brushed his hand against the pale ghost of a scar on his arm. He was at a loss for what to do now. The clock ticked away, counting the seconds of silence. Once you'd had a chance to settle your thoughts, you'd figured you'd tell Cove the intriguing news. I meant to tell you earlier. I saw Shiloh today.
Huh?
Shiloh? Cove repeated the name, his expression blank. From when we were kids. You know, the boy with the cute little bucket hat and the freckles all over and the overalls. Cove pondered for a moment, then snapped his fingers. Oh, he was the freckly boy from that first summer, right? The one who moved. I met a guy named Shiloh. He looked just like the Shiloh we knew, plus however many years. But he didn't remember me and just left. Cove frowned. That's, I don't know. Too bad I missed it, though you knew him better than I did. That was definitely true. Not only had Cove known Shiloh for a shorter period of time, but he and Shiloh had never quite gotten along. Not that they were enemies either, just kids who were only ever together because of other people they both knew. I wonder what Shiloh's up to these days. I don't have any idea. He didn't say much. Oh well. That was everything you had on that news item, so you moved on to the next big update. Also, you know the mean old neighbors? The ones who would always yell at us? He cringed. Recalling those particular memories of back in the day was not pleasant even for someone as nostalgic as him. Yeah? They're not coming. They didn't rent the condo this summer. Cove's jaw dropped. He didn't blame him. The elderly couple had been an institution for as far back as he could remember, long predating Cove's arrival. Even now as a teenager, you found your neck pricking as you walked by their condo, half expecting a scolding for breathing the wrong way in the vicinity of their vacation home. It was strange to think of that coming to an end. Wow. Cove blinked, clearly struggling with the idea in the same way you had. I didn't see that coming. People being gone, people coming back. Feels like I've missed a lot. This has been a busy summer already. Well, you haven't missed the fireflies. They haven't shown up yet. Well, that's something, and we better not get left behind. There's still stuff to do. You nodded. As soon as you'd left your house, Cove bent down to let you climb back onto his back for the last part of your journey. Yay! It seemed that no sooner had the night begun than it was already at an end, and the dawn of a new day was soon upon you. It's summer! The next morning your belly was full of breakfast, and you were in a pleasant mood. You hoped the rest of the day followed suit. Later, you were meeting up with your friends, Cove, Miranda, and Terry, to go into town. It was all on short notice, but that was because everyone was just so excited that Cove was finally back home. Having a nice daydream? You blinked, pushing all your thoughts away and returning to reality. Your mom was watching you with a teasing smile. So, what's on the agenda today? I'm meeting up with some people. Well, I hope you and your friends have fun. Don't get into too much trouble. She winked at you. You knew both of your moms wanted you to enjoy every bit of the summer before all the big changes started. I'll try. But before you go gallivanting around the town, could you bring the mail in? I'm finishing up putting the dishes away over here. Alright. Thanks very much. Wow, look at his dad. How come his dad hasn't aged at all? My mom's grew so old. What happened? As soon as you were outside your front door, you couldn't help but see Cove and his dad standing around in the road. They noticed you too. Hey there, Calico. Hi, good timing. You should come join us. You waved at him, you hugged him, you gave him a high five. You gave him a noogie. You ruffled his hair. Cove couldn't quite meet your gaze, but as you approached, the corners of his mouth pulled into a smile. You noticed Mr. Holden was taking in the scene of you and Cove with a self-satisfied smile. Cove followed your line of sight and shot his dad an unimpressed look. Oh no, he's gonna live forever. Cove followed your line of sight and shot his dad an unimpressed look. For a moment, Mr. Holden seemed like he had a thought dancing on the tip of his tongue, but he decided to keep it to himself. So what are you up to today? As far as I know, nothing too much. Me and Cove are meeting some friends in town later. Sounds like a plan to me. Yawning, Mr. Holden stretched his arms over his head. Why is the dad so cool? Yeah, he's very chill. He's very cool. Very friendly. Nice guy. He has good intentions, but he's not the best at, actually successfully doing it. Yawning, Mr. Holden stretched his arm over his head. My boy and I have just been waiting around to see what the new neighbors are like. It was definitely his idea. I don't know how you're not interested in this. It's big news. Besides, it'd only be polite to greet the new folks in town. Maybe it'll be a single dad and his son. You've been here too long if seeing a new person rent a condo is what you consider an exciting development. Yes, I'm excited. I'm dying to see the newcomers. Your response was just a shrug. I don't want to meet them. Well, anyone has to be better than the last tenants. It'll be a single dad and his son. Cove snorted some airy laughter at the suggestion. You think we'll have some competition? For several moments, Mr. Holden wasn't able to answer. He was still chuckling when he put his hands on his hips and tried to compose himself. Absolutely not. We're the #1 father-son duo in this town, and no one's changing that. Mr. Holden took one more glance at the currently vacant building and sighed dramatically. When he turned back to you and Cove, his whole body seemed deflated. There's no sign of them, and I still need to head over to work soon. Cove gave his dad a few reassuring pats on the back. Okay, I promise to keep an eye out. I can text you if anything happens. Really?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, only until I have to meet up with Terry and Miranda. Would that still work? With a wide grin breaking out on his face, Mr. Holden looked absolutely thrilled to have his nosiness enabled. That works. He moved to firmly place both hands over Cove's shoulders, fixing his child with a firm stare. Son, you are my true ally in this world. Mr. Holden stood up straighter, letting Cove go. He looked reinvigorated. Okay, with that settled, I'll go make some money. That's always been the one thing I do best. Mr. Holden headed off to the garage with a big wave goodbye. Cove smiled the whole time you both watched his dad leave. You really like Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden was one of your favorite people. I like him. He's a good guy. You had for a long time. As soon as he was out of sight, Cove sighed lightly. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, just not looking forward to waiting. Guess I'll be hanging around the street a while. Good luck. See you later. Bye. I'll stick around to see the new neighbor. I can wait with you. Why don't I stay to see the new neighbor and keep you company? Curiosity about the new tenant was getting the better of you, and you figured that the wait wouldn't be too much longer. And besides, you just couldn't leave Cove. Really? Of course, I like keeping you company, remember? He stared at you for a moment, smiling softly and thinking about his response.
Me too.
I like that too. Cove put his hands on your shoulders, gripping you solidly but not enough to hurt. His eyes fixated on you just as firmly. He was serious. Calico, you're my true ally in this world. I got a fair amusement of chuckles from you. He grinned, the stoicism fading into amusement.
Thank you.
You're always good to me. Yeah, you're lucky to have me. It's no problem. I can't help myself, you laughed. You shook your head, you simply shrugged. These are all good responses. It's no problem. I don't know about that, but I'm just happy you're always here. The smile on his face reached his eyes, and it made you feel electric. And then he let go of you. Cove stepped over to his front porch steps, lazily taking a seat and leaning back on his arms. Our watch begins. Nodding in agreement, you joined Cove on the front porch steps. You both sat there in a comfortable familiarity as you settled in for the waiting game of the new tenants. The neighborhood was quiet, and you sighed contentedly, closing your eyes and feeling the light breeze. Eventually, you both perked up at the sound of a car. A taxi followed the noise, turning it onto your street. Cove's eyebrows raised at that sight, and he sat up straight on the stoop.
Well?
This has to be them, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. Now that they were here, you couldn't help but feel just a bit curious. You wondered what kind of person would be living in the neighborhood for the summer. A taxi pulled to a stop as you expected in front of the now empty condo. It was on the same side of the street as your house, a few buildings further up. Without getting to his feet, Cove tried leaning and tilting his head to get a view of the passenger door as it opened. The single occupant exited the cab. They're alone. Huh? You could feel what Cove was in that moment. After the last renters, this new visitor was definitely not exactly what you'd expected. Whoa, who is this? It was a young man, had to be close to your own age. He was dressed fully in an eclectic black and white and gray outfit. Even his side-swooping hair matched the scheme. The only other pop of color was from something that couldn't easily be fashioned into submission, a pair of dark brown eyes, which you caught when you looked over at his audience. Hello, folks. Hello, folks. Who might you be? We're the neighbors. The smile already prominent on his face curled further. It was cocky, but you didn't get the impression it meant something adverse. You didn't like this guy? Oh no, the kitty doesn't like him. He's on our watch list. Hallelujah. You and Cove shared a familiar look with one another, bewildered even further. The color-coordinated man left it there, however, and with a firm click he shut the door of his ride. Then he turned his back to you to retrieve a large, unsurprisingly black suitcase out of the trunk. Continuing on with his own business, he strolled forward and lightly tapped on the driver's side window with his knuckles, asking for them to roll it down. When it opened, he leaned down and rested his arm on the edge. You assumed he was thanking the driver for getting him there, considering he slipped them a tip during the brief chat. They shook hands, and then he pushed himself up and away from the taxi with both arms, giving the driver room to leave. The taxi pulled away, rolling carefully down the road and out of sight around a corner. The new renter had officially arrived. He looked so smug. He left his suitcase on the ground, out of the way of the street, and sauntered over your way with the confidence of someone who had been invited to join. Cove finally stood up to greet this person, and you followed suit.
Excellent.
What is this accent? I'm Baxter Ward. It's excellent to meet you, neighbors. You were standing on the side he was approaching from. When Baxter got close enough, he offered his hand to you first. You offered to low-five him. What? We are not hugging this guy, we just met him. You shook it. Baxter gripped your hand firmly to give a satisfying shake. Why he looked like Tetsuya Nomura designed a Silicon Valley bro. The kitty is hissing at him. Baxter gripped your hand firmly to give a satisfying shake. Hi, Baxter. Oh, that's my line. Hi, Baxter. I'm Calico. Hey, Calico. I'm quite keen on getting to know you better this summer. We could be good friends. Hello? Aren't you ignoring, like, someone standing right next to you? From your other side, Cove made a sudden, sputtering noise. And you are? He lifted his hand out to Cove next. Cove shook his hand, still eyeing Baxter carefully. I'm Cove. Baxter's whole demeanor lit up for unknown reasons. His eyes shone as he studied Cove a moment.
Really?
Now wait, is that a nickname or your real name? It's just my name. Cove spoke mildly, having given that explanation many times in the past, but it clearly charmed Baxter all the same. He tossed his head to one side with a laugh. Your parents knew exactly what they were doing. I can't imagine a more fitting name for the face I'm seeing. Cove. That's gorgeous. It's really not. Cove is the vibe and I will stand by him. Yes, he's our guy. Whoa, hey, that's my mans you're flirting with. Oh, I agree. It suits you. Nice to see someone else knows. The impact might have faded for you, living with it this long, but I promise to the onlooker it's a knockout. Demon Oreo. He do be looking like he got that Oreo drip. Cove couldn't face either of you after that. His cheeks were quickly turning bright red with embarrassment. You noticed that Baxter looked apologetic over Cove's increased discomfort. I'm sorry. It wasn't intended to mean more than it did. I like your name, but you don't have to mind that. I'm patently against stepping on anyone's toes. He chuckled to himself. It seemed like there was some extra meaning hidden there in his words, and you noticed that Cove raised an eyebrow, picking up on that too. Baxter didn't even open his eyes to see your face to know he had some filling to do. He stood up straighter, striking a slight pose with the position on his feet. I'm a ballroom dancer, hence the phrasing. Oh, I didn't know much about dancing, but that's pretty cool. No, I sure hope not. It's not hard once you get the basics down. Cove didn't look convinced at all. Baxter took that as a cue to keep talking.
Wow.
He grinned in a way that was rapidly becoming familiar to you. If either of you are ever looking for a partner, I'm available. Cove frowned at the overt forwardness. Thanks? I'll pass, I think. I'd rather not. I could probably show you some moves. Show me your moves. You answer the question. Baxter nodded understandingly and let the subject go. After that, there was a lull in conversation, and Cove attempted to fill it.
So...
What made you decide on Sunset Bird? Oh, yes, well, my parents rented a condo, so I had a place to stay while I'm off for a semester from college and not living in the dorms. There was a playful glint in Baxter's eyes as he continued.
Honestly.
Ideally, they wanted to send me somewhere that wasn't too exciting, but lucky for me, they picked the wrong street, considering the two of you live here. Cove was practically reeling over how Baxter found a way to fit comments like that into every single topic thus far. Why do you keep doing that? You don't know us, but you talk like you already do. Cove spoke, firm yet genuinely confused, and Baxter smiled cautiously. I don't feel the need to keep words of praise to myself, and when I say something, I mean it.
See?
Plus, what's the point of spending my off semester alone? The best part of being somewhere new is getting to interact with new people. Am I honestly the first person who's acknowledged you're attractive and intriguing people? True, you're hidden away in a tiny tourist trap, but still. Baxter crossed his arms after studying your faces a few more seconds. He decided to continue. Am I only trying to score a hookup or get a romantic fling started by saying those things? No. That isn't the point of speaking well of others. I was raised better than that. Though, would I be fussed if that's what my words led to? Also no. I am flexible. Not a surprise, I can back off with the lines if you don't like the attention, but I would like to be friends, if we can. Cove wasn't sure how to respond. He glanced at you, and he continued to look at your face when you spoke. Thanks for answering. I'm not interested in any of that, with you. Maybe not the friend thing, but, the other part. You know, why would you probably annoy a lot of people? I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that to me. I'll keep it in check. Glad we're working things out. Shifting his weight to his other foot, Baxter tried to move forward. So, since you were both already out here, did my arrival interrupt anything? Definitely not. You smiled and silently agreed. You laughed in a conspiratorial way. You looked away nervously. You told Baxter that you were both waiting to see who was going to move in. If Cove wasn't going to say anything, neither were you. Baxter didn't need to know how much of today was spent waiting to see who was moving in. Yeah, he doesn't need to know our business. You don't trust him. Yeah, for good reason. Baxter watched you both carefully for a hint of what was going on, but decided not to pry any further. Well, if either of you are free, I'd be thrilled to hang out this summer, but we can save the schedule talk for later. I should get my things inside. He gave a small nod of the head and flashed you both a dazzling smile. Goodbye. For today. Wink wink. Bye. Cove gave a small wave as well. Bye, Baxter. See ya. Baxter then turned on his heels and strode back to his suitcase, picking it up and bringing it to his condo. You and Cove were silent as Baxter unlocked the door and disappeared inside the house. Wow, a whole condo just for him? Crazy. With him completely out of the scene, Cove let out a long breath.
Well,
I don't know how I'm gonna explain that guy to my dad. You burst into a fit of laughter trying to imagine the conversation. At least the job is done. We saw the new neighbor, and now we can go meet up with Terry and Miranda. Yeah, we should get going. You gave Baxter's condo one last glance over your shoulder. You were looking forward to seeing more of him. You thought he was charming. You were not interested in him. You weren't sure how to feel. You thought he gave a pretty bad first impression. You decided he definitely wasn't someone you liked. You actually experienced it firsthand, but you were finding the last several minutes of your life hard to believe. You couldn't imagine what the summer is going to be like with Baxter here, and you weren't sure how much you wanted to actually see him again. Turning your attention back to Cove, you pushed all thoughts of Baxter aside. You both started making your way towards town. A little while later, you and Cove reached the main street in town. All of a sudden, you stopped walking. Well, what's wrong? I think I heard my shell phone. You dug your shell phone out and looked at it with a satisfied grin. There was a new message. You opened the new text from Miranda, and all you saw was, "I can see you." Immediately from where you stood, you started swiveling your head around. You couldn't spot Miranda anywhere, but she did send you more messages. Haha, I see you looking. Where are you? Come on. Really, Randy? Where are you? The message was sent, and you were back to looking around, scanning for any sign of movement and familiar faces, but they were still invisible. Cove looked at you carefully, raising an eyebrow. We're just gonna yell for her. You sighed at the ridiculousness. You burst into laughter at her antics. You sent your own joking text. Cove looked at you puzzled, raising an eyebrow. He crossed his arms. What's happening? Before you could even begin explaining anything to Cove, you both snapped your attention to the yelling from across the street. And there you saw Miranda and Terry coming out from behind the backside wall of the grocery store. They both started waving wildly to draw even more attention to themselves. Cove took a step in their direction. Grinning, he put his hands around his mouth to better project his messages across the street. Hey! Laughing and arm, the girls stopped only to look both ways and then rushed across the empty street. Hi, hope you weren't waiting too long.
Hey, buddies.
Hey, buddies. Hi! That joke was not funny. I'm amazed. How did you appear out of nowhere like that? So happy to see you two. I thought you both knew better than to jaywalk. Now that you were here, their joke on you was already long forgotten in your mind. Terry and Miranda giggled, smiling wide at your declaration. They're both so cute. Terry then closed the distance between her and Cove and crushed him in a painfully tight hug. You're finally here! It's been so long! What took you? He did his best to eke out a reply with his chest being compressed.
Sorry.
Eventually she let him go. Terry looked at him with a beaming smile, but Cove was distracted, rubbing his arms. Standing there, Miranda shifted her weight to her other hip. She watched Cove patiently with a bashful smile. Welcome back. Thanks. It finally felt official. Everyone was together in one place. From here, you weren't sure how often you would have another afternoon like this again. They didn't either. Keep a close eye on these two. Terry goes through the most change. Okay. Thank you, Kitty. Cove. Terry poked Cove square in the chest. You're gonna have to give me your schedule by the time yesterday.
No way.
Not really possible, Terry, but I can say as soon as I know. So far, work hasn't said anything, but I can tell you I'm busy with Orca activities. When Cove wasn't at his part-time job, or pushing his athletic and academic interest, he volunteered for the Ocean Restoration California Affiliation, Orca. The group focused on cleaning up beaches and removing pollution from the ocean. Cove always loved the sea. It didn't surprise you one bit when you started getting involved with them. My college that I went to also had something similar like that, because we were located near the beach. So they had a little program that you could volunteer for to help clean up at the beaches. It was a lot of fun. I didn't have any other friends who were doing that program, like friends from my classes, and I never really made friends with the people from the program either. I just kind of enjoyed spending time at the beach, walking around and looking for trash on my own. Let's see. Yes. It was Cove's activity. You joined Orca too after learning of it. You were an Orca member and introduced Cove to it. I probably also joined at the same time. Their big smash event for the year is coming right up, isn't it? Yeah, it was really fun. It was nice to just be around the beach. I always just love being near the ocean, so any excuse to be there is always nice. Yeah, there's not that much more to do before then, but I'm kind of looking forward to the fundraising push. Hopefully we can pull it off. If anyone can do it, it's you two. And even if it goes really bad, it'll still look good on a college application at least. That's true. Hey, guess what else? We don't have to stand here to say stuff. Let's go. I would like a meal now. Bringing up, Cove nodded in agreement. Yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. The four of you headed into town, happily chatting the whole way. The only decision left to make was where exactly to stop and eat. The rest of the afternoon and evening passed by in a blink of an eye. When night fell, it was time to head home, and you parted ways with Miranda and Terry. You and Cove reached your neighborhood without event. It was late enough that your out-of-the-way street was dark and silent. You were walking tiredly after such a long day. Oh, it would be such a shame. If only someone could carry me home. You strolled with a skip in your step. You ambled along. Cove was giving you a piggyback ride home. You strolled with a skip in your step. Days like today, filled with good food and good company, left you feeling energized. As you walked alongside Cove, you peered at his face out of the corner of your eyes. You wondered why he felt so distant to you. It was out of character. For a while, Cove silently stared ahead and left you alone with your own thoughts. It surprised you when you did hear his voice all of a sudden. He still wouldn't look at you. It feels weird coming back to the neighborhood and trying to get into things like they're the same. And they're not. They've changed. They're still changing. Your mouth felt uncomfortably dry all of a sudden. Speaking of mouth being dry, I should drink more water. My throat could use it too. Wow. It was true. The things that kept the people you knew together were starting to disappear. Each person had to make their own priorities and their own path now that it wasn't set for them. You thought about your own immediate future. You had been considering more and more, and ideas were starting to settle in your mind. You hoped to go to school full-time, to go to school part-time, to work full-time, to work part-time. To focus on time that's not school or work. I wish I could do this. I went to school full-time after graduating. Yeah, and this too. And that was the basics. For your education, you thought you'd attend a community college, go to private college and trade school, take online classes. I went to a... Was it really private? I guess it kind of... Yeah. And that was all. For yourself, you wanted to work on self-improvement, just take some time to relax, try to figure out what you truly want. And work on self-improvement. And take some time to relax, and that was all. And for that, you wanted to stay local, go to different parts of the state, go out of state, go abroad, travel around to different places. Stay home. It'd all be happening so soon. You'd already applied to schools. You started to prepare for what was coming. You hadn't begun to do anything about that yet. You had already applied to schools. And you'd been open about your situation, and everyone knew. You'd only spoken about this with family. Kept this all to yourself, and Cove was the only person who knew. Wow. Only Cove knows my secrets. No, I always like getting ideas from other people if I'm unsure about things. I like getting feedback when I need it. Yeah, so probably this one. Now you wondered what Cove had in mind. You'd heard him consider some things for his future, but it was never anything that you would have counted as a real plan. Making it back home, you both stopped in the middle of the street. Cove sighed. Cove looked at the ground for a moment. His mouth trembled, trying to settle on the right words to say. So, are you still thinking about relaxing for a while and stuff in Sunset Bird? Yeah. Cove closed his eyes and nodded while he composed his thoughts. He looked at you when he lifted his head. I decided on something. Well, kind of. He smiled slightly and rubbed his arm, and then his expression grew more serious. I'm not gonna decide on a school or a career. Not this summer. I'm gonna stay here, at least in Sunset Bird. I'll probably move out of my dad's place. I'll keep working my job, keep doing my volunteer stuff, and everything else.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll know what I planned for myself by fall, or next year, or maybe I'll never have a plan. Life will continue on with whatever's happening. I'm not gonna crush myself trying to have everything figured out by a timeline that someone else has set. I just can't do it. His brows furrowed, and his tone was tense. It was clear how much expectations were weighing on him.
I
guess it'll be me and you, right here for a while longer. His eyes were glossy. You weren't going to be separated, and that meant a very great deal to him. Wah. Your plan sounds very you. You nodded understandingly. You're glad that the two of you could be in Sunset Bird together. Somehow I'm not surprised things turned out like this. I'm glad my buddy's gonna be here with me. I'm not alone. Elated, you smiled. Cove looked relieved that you were happy with this turn of events. I'll see you tomorrow, Calico. I'll see you. Night. He pulled you into an unexpected hug. It knocked the breath out of you, yet couldn't have been more reassuring feeling. You returned his embrace and stayed that way for as long as you could.
Good night.
He finally let go, giving you another smile. Then Cove started walking away, but you remained there, frozen in the middle of the street. You watched him and wondered, how many more times will he be able to say that? He'll see you tomorrow. You hoped for countless more times. Finally, you turned towards your own house. You vowed to yourself that you would make the most out of every moment you had this summer. Wow! Okay, so it's already... I didn't realize at the end of summer that it would take quite some time, and there was also like that in between step 2 and step 3, and then the beginning of step 3. So we're actually further behind than I thought we were. So I think we have probably time for at least one of these chapters, but we'll have to come back later to finish the rest. As much as I would love to actually like go through all of these tonight, I do need to get back to work. So we'll do one, and then I gotta go eat and take care of my stuff. Okay? We ball. Let's go. You grabbed the large beach towel from your off bed and from off your bed and stuffed it into a bag. You had already packed your water bottle for your upcoming beach hangout session. Yay! That's what I like to hear. The stars had aligned, and somehow everyone was free today. Miranda had set things up with the several bubbly phone calls between you, Cove, and Terry to find a time to hit the beach. You were hoping that this would be a fun time together. Cove sat on your windowsill and kicked one of his legs into the air idly. He already had his swimsuit on, and his towel was bundled under his arm in a misshapen ball. He'd shown up earlier that morning with a surprising amount of enthusiasm. He was chatting as you caught up to his preparation. But seriously, I couldn't find my swimsuit this morning. I looked everywhere. It had disappeared. I had no idea what I was gonna do. You could have gotten a new one somewhere. What happened to all your other swimsuits? Whoa, you don't that. Whoa, hold up. We are not making this a nude beach. Yeah, it completely vanished somehow, just like your old sand pail. You stayed quiet. What happened to all your other ones? I know that's not your only one. Cove looked away and shrugged. I might have some laundry to do. It's okay, buddy, me too. Anyways, I don't know why it was in the bathroom when I never put it there. He gave a small smile and readjusted the towel in his arms. He now could see that it had been folded at some point, but then rolled up and carried without much care.
I'm so glad.
But I'm just glad I found it. It would have been crappy to lose my favorite trunks. It was nice to see Cove so happy and comfortable in what he was wearing. You walked over to your dresser and mused about how you had picked out your own swimsuit. Luckily, since you were average height, you only needed to worry about finding the right size. When it came to the shape of your body, you were heavyset, you were chubby, you had curves, you were generally medium, you were slender, you were scrawny. I think I got some meat on me. And you had noticeable muscles. That is important. This is very important. This is my charm point. My noticeable muscles, for sure. It was clear how solidly you were built, and the dense muscles were visible without having to flex them. You had gained more muscle in recent years. It was clear when compared to how you were when you were younger.
Are you okay?
You alright? Oh yeah, I was thinking about some things. What things? Just myself, and my body, really. His eyebrows rose at your admission of self-reflection. And what do you think? What did you think of who you were? You considered your identity further. You knew for sure that you were non-binary. Your identity had different facets to it. You still didn't know what identity you felt truly comfortable with. I feel more like this one. I do, for anyone who doesn't know, I do consider myself non-binary, but pronouns are she, her, they, them. I don't mind usage of either. It was more than a single binary choice you made, but you were you, and that was what mattered. And you had small boobs. Your breasts were not exactly small, but not huge either. You were well endowed. In the past, you had breasts, but had them surgically removed. Nope, I still have them. You know, for a while, or you know, for a long time actually, like from high school and beyond, I always thought that I had a pretty small chest because like the media kind of messed up my perception of what was considered like big for breasts. And so I always thought like big was like really, really big. And then, you know, like my chest size was just like small or like normal. We getting lower breasts, canon breast size. But it turns out eventually I went and got myself properly fitted at a at a place that sells like undergarments and whatnot, and it turns out my chest size is actually considered big. not very, very big, just big. And I mean that in a very, like, maybe it's to one's own opinion, it might be big, might not be big. I'm just saying, from what I was told and what I was taught, they are technically considered big. Your boobs were a large part of your frame. You like the size you had. You wish they were smaller, might get a reduction. You wish they were bigger and might get implants. Use a binder, but we're also considering other options. You left them as they were, but we're considering options for them. I like the size that I have. People had a lot of their identity wrapped up in their physical form. It shaped their self-image. You were confident in yours. You were comfortable in yours. You were really content. You hated your body. You knew you had gender dysphoria. I am pretty comfortable with mine. Your body was you, and it was a good one that you felt content in. Someone is bragging. Hey, that's it's not a humble brag, I swear. I promise it's not. You used to not feel as good when you were younger, but you had since grown into your body. You felt more at home now and less uncomfortable. That is very real. Very, very true. I was very, very insecure about my body as a younger person. You focused on Cove again. He smiled at you and tilted his head, a question still in his eyes. He was waiting for you to come to an answer, but before you could, you had something to say to him. What do you think about me? Oh, you like the way that I look, right? Ooh, yeah. What do you think about me? About how I look, I mean. Cove smirked a little, his eyes taking you in easily. Fishing for compliments, Calico? Yeah, you know me. You look great. Everyone knows that, including you, by the way. Unless that's changed? You pouted. You laughed. You blushed. I didn't want a compliment. I was just asking. So what if I wanted you to compliment me? You still you still should. Real. You laughed. You weren't sure why you were surprised. He responded with that. Cove shook his head. His hand went up to try to unsubtly cover his smile. I was kind of worried you were so in your own head because something was wrong. Guess not. I'm glad.
Hey.
Hey, Calico. Cove gave a bent smile, pointing to your arms. You're looking— Yes! Yes, this is what I wanted! My dreams have been made. You're looking particularly buff today. Yes. Yes, it feels good to be acknowledged. That's right. It's— He answered not with words, but a solid okay sign with both hands and the same cheeky smile. Cove suddenly flushed when he realized how boldly he complimented you. He stood by it, even if he was a little red. You were a little taken aback. That came out of nowhere. You glanced at yourself. You like that? Yeah. This is... No, this is becoming too real. This visual novel knows. It knows my secrets. Being called buff is the best compliment. So true. You flirtatiously stretched. You started to flex and show off jokingly. That's usually how this goes. You posed dramatically. You showed off your guns, fighting laughter. First the right, then the left. You then flexed both of your arms and widened your stance in a stereotypical strong pose. Cove turned bright red and jumped to his feet. His towel dropped to the ground as he practically flew over to you. He looked at your arms and then tried to gently nudge them back down. Yeah, you can stop now. Really. He laughed nervously and flailed a little. You took pity on him and stopped displaying yourself. You gotten the reaction you wanted. He retreated back to sitting on the windowsill and retrieved his towel, head hung low to try hiding his expression. Finally, you felt that was enough of that topic for one day. You went back to your original goal before you got sidetracked. You needed to pick what you wanted to wear to the beach. You chose to wear casual clothes, you wanted to wear your wetsuit, you wanted to wear swim trunks at the top, you decided to wear a Speedo with a top, you picked a one-piece swimsuit, you decided to wear a two-piece, you chose a two-piece tankini. Wow. I'm usually a two-piece bikini. While you dug around in your drawers, you tried to think if there was anything else you were missing. Kako's character doing that with the Lenny face. Is this the whole reason we had that breast questionnaire? Well, I mean, in the previous steps, I mean, it didn't really apply because we were still young, but they did have a lot of questions about how we felt about ourselves and our body. So I don't think it's too out of the realm. Let's see. He took sunglasses, he picked out a regular shirt to wear as well, he grabbed a full swimsuit cover-up to wear as well, goggles, hat, shawl, board shorts. Usually will wear like a cover-up of some kind. With that taken care of, you held your outfit together and looked to Cove. He was tapping his toes on the sides of the walls as he waited. You vaguely wondered if he thought that was comfortable, if that was a comfortable place to sit. You hoped so, given how long he'd perched on it. Regardless, it was time for him to go. You aren't going to put on your beachwear with him just chilling there. I need to change. Cove smiled, content with being kicked out. Alright. Cove lowered himself off the window and strolled past you to get to the door. He lightly brushed your fingers against your cheek when he passed by. Oh, he lightly brushed his fingers against your cheek when he passed by. I'll see you out front. Okay. When you were alone, you got undressed and put your swimwear on. You also checked your beach bag for the final time, and it seemed like you hadn't forgotten anything. You left your room and hurried down the stairs, ready to meet Cove. You made sure to lock your front door and walked outside. He can't do that. We're just friends. He's my bestie. Cove stood in the road, looking down and scuffing his feet on the asphalt. When you shut your heavy door, he looked up at you and smiled. Hey. Hi. Miranda and Terry are gonna be here in not too long. Terry even texted me earlier saying she was mostly on schedule.
Well,
Why don't we just head to the beach and wait for them there? We're both ready. That sounded like a good idea to you. That sounded like a good idea to you. You said as much, and Cove shot off a quick text telling the two of them where you'd be. Cove gave you a thumbs up after the message sent. You would cry. Please, I was already embarrassing him enough as it was, just flexing in the room. Yeah, I don't know if he could handle it. It was a familiar path to walk, and it wasn't long until you reached the shore. Cove laid out his towel on the warm sand. You set up your stuff beside him and looked out into the ocean. The rolling swells hit the shore rhythmically. Rhythmically. You all had lucked out. It was a beautiful day. The sky was clear, and the waves were good. It was a balmy summer day, but with a pleasant breeze to keep things comfortable. Essentially, it was perfect. Do you feel like heading into the water? Maybe just walk down the shore? Or would you want to do something here? Let's see. Water sounds good. It always sounds good to an otter like me. That's what I'm here for anyway. Cove nodded. Accepting of the plan, he kicked some sand off his towel absent-mindedly. Yeah, sounds nice. You took a deep breath and tasted the relaxing, salty air. Cove caught your eye and gave you a small smile. You chatted a little before a comfortable quiet settled over the two of you, content to watch the waves as you waited for the others. Luckily, it didn't take long until you heard shouts. You turned your head to see both Miranda and Terry running straight for you. Miranda was faster, making leaps and bounds across the sand. Terry followed in her wake, laughing with her towel clutched around her shoulders and flowing like a cape. Miranda started making her jumps more theatric and more precarious as she got closer. Cove waved them on with a bright grin. You shouted a greeting, you cheered at their antics. You waved too, you laughed, you shook your head. You hoped they wouldn't fall. How's it going? The two officially arrived at Cove's and yours setup, looking completely ready for an ocean adventure. They were already in their swimwear and were raring to go. Hey Terry and Miranda, welcome to our beach. Hi. Hello, hello! Wow, Terry, you and I have the same greeting. She beamed and Miranda nodded with a smile.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I am so pumped. Yeah, I'm really glad this worked out. What have you guys been up to over here in your town? Cove? Calico? Have we missed things? Cove blinked and then shrugged when nothing he wanted to mention came to mind. You shrugged like Cove, you gave a vague answer, and gave her a recap of how your family was doing. What have you been up to? The usual. Terry laughed and mentioned a few things about her own parents. Miranda brought up her family and shared some of the wild things her older brother had done. Terry then started talking about her morning and how she'd almost overslept since she had stayed up too late last night. She'd bounced on her feet as she spoke. But don't worry about me being tired today. You know I ran on less back during school. Miranda filled in the group with her about her morning. Apparently, everything had gone smoothly. She met up with Terry on the way here, and you knew the rest. Cove offered a suggestion to the girls. Hey, why don't we take this out to the water? Oh yeah, definitely. You felt pleased that Cove remembered what you wanted to do. Sometimes you could be thoughtful like that. Terry threw her stuff down on the sand and started running for the waves. Miranda was more careful setting down her things and waited for you and Cove. Cove tilted his shoulder to gesture over to the ocean. I've been looking forward to this. The three of you made your way down to the shoreline together. Miranda cartwheeled and Terry clapped. Soon all four of you were in the water. Cove swam out the furthest while Terry instigated a splash fight. There was rarely a quiet moment where someone wasn't laughing. Hours passed and the group had moved between different activities, some low-key and some more exhaustive. For you, it was another break time. You sat on your towel and sipped at some water. Your friends were hard at work burying Terry's full body under a pile. Miranda used her arms to force up sand around Terry's sides. Cove worked on covering Terry's feet. You took another drink and closed your eyes. Eventually, a shadow passed over you, dampening the light that was still notable even behind your eyelids. You checked to see Cove had joined you there. He knelt down to dig around in the pile of assorted beach stuff in the middle of everyone's towel setup and pulled out the sunscreen. He took a seat next to you on his towel. He opened the bottle with a soft pop and began to reapply the cream. They say oysters taste like the sea. Calico wants to drink the ocean. Yummy. Yummy salty seawater. Hey. Hey. He ran his hands across his chest to work the sunscreen in, and you might have checked him out a little from the corner of your eye, while still sipping some water. Casually. Quenching my thirst. After he finished up, Cove let out a comfortable sigh and looked off into the distance. But then he sighed again, this time in an exaggeratedly disappointed way. You wondered if he was going to sigh again, even more dramatically if you didn't say anything. What's wrong, you honestly wondered? You inspected his face to see if there was anything actually distressed about him, but he still just looked like he was exaggerating. You asked anyway, since it was obvious that was what he wanted. Cove shook his head, comically despondent. His frown didn't match the sparkle in his eyes.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just becoming another jaded adult, that's all. Now, you were really confused. You waited for him to continue on his next sigh and not disappoint. It was the most ridiculously sad sigh you had ever heard. Oh, woe is me. Then he smiled a little. Mermaids aren't real. What? That had not been what you were expecting. He continued. You know how much I liked mermaids as a kid? Well, merfolk as a whole. I really hoped that they were out there. I mean, the ocean's a big place, right? They could be somewhere. But the older I got, the more I had to accept it. They were just a fairy tale. He jerked his head over to the waterline and the rolling waves. They crashed against the shore and then drew back. This is a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast and never too crowded. If merfolk did exist, we definitely would have met one by now. Or at least, we would have heard of someone else seeing one. But nothing. He acted as though the result was a true bafflement. He let his head hang. I gotta let the dream go. He burst into laughter. It's hardly proof it's not like this is the only beach in this world. They could still exist. As you said, the ocean is a big place. Cove chuckled a little to himself, eyes tilted off into the sea, his face still low. Maybe it's for the best. Let's say a mer-person did happen to wash up on shore one day. He looked at you with a faux doleful expression. I could have lost my best friend to their magical underwater world. Oh, he's right. He knows. I would leave. I would leave the society in a heartbeat. Oh yeah, I'd totally go live under the sea with a merfolk. Oh, I'd go with a mer-person, but only if you could come too. Cove grinned. He hadn't expected that answer. If you had the chance, would you eat a mermaid? No, they're too close to being people. That's a little... I'm in the same realm of like, you know, you can eat monsters because they're more animal-like. They're like animals. Merfolk are now treading into that zone of like being too close to like cannibalism. You're a nice person, Calico. But what if they didn't want me? Would you seriously stay on land? He gave him a look. You meant what you had said. It'd only work if the offer was for both of you. Are you sure that's the right call? If a beautiful, kind merperson falls for somebody, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't to turn around and say, "No thanks, I'm gonna stay on land with the normal guy." Are you warning me that you'd leave if you got that kind of offer? Why are you so sure that I'd have to make that call? Since this is all hypothetical, why not have you be the merperson? I don't want that. I should get to be a mer creature, and then I'd invite you to our underwater world. Because why wouldn't you? That's just obvious. The more Cove spoke, the more it sounded like he could be merfolk himself. He was choking on air, a fish out of water. First or third is what I picked. I mean, you're charming and talented. Go on, Cove, I'm listening. He barely X'd the last words out. There isn't anyone who wouldn't choose you. Oh, you were completely flattered by how highly he thought of you. And then you heard Miranda's screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had been meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you just want to give up on this now?
No way.
The burial must continue. I'll try not to move anymore. Okay, if you're sure, I'll try to fix this. Miranda started to rebury her, and Terry shot her a thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumbled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cove caught your eye and started to drag himself up. Seems like we're needed. You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation, and the three of you did your best to finish the job. You all worked out a system of using just enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With 3 people, it didn't take long for Terry to be entombed. Terry grinned massively, and Miranda offered high fives. The pile was officially done. Oh yeah! Resembling the Kool-Aid Man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions, and a Terry-shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. The 4 of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest while you found the most colorful. Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all had run out of water. Drinkable water, anyway. It was decided that you'd head to your or Cove's house. Things were gathered and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever. Same. I guess we can keep hanging out? Terry snorted and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in an inspection. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concert. No one was overtly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite a mealtime. That's not true. I'm always hungry. We could get dessert. Miranda put a finger on her lip and thought. With a smile, her voice became more confident. Yeah, that would be fun. Terry considered it and then shot Miranda a thumbs up. Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. I think that's a good idea. Who doesn't love a little dessert? A little treat? It's a little treat time. But there's nothing sweet at my house. Your friends glanced at Cove in his place. He shook his head immediately. Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes? Oh, that's for me. Ew, no! She cut in and held her hands up as if trying to ward off something evil. Cove smirked. It's not that bad. Nope. There has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look it up. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think. Terry continued to rummage in her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, setting the bag on the ground. With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration.
I'm on it.
I'll search for something good. Terry got back to her feet, hefting the bag over one arm, tapping away at her screen in the other. But she assessed Cove from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, having not even registered it prior. He chuckled a little. I'll grab something. Cove moved over to his house. He looked towards yours. I have a cover-up, right? I think I should be okay. He watched Cove disappear into his house. Terry was deep in the midst of scrolling through food options. He shuffled over to where you could see, and Miranda did the same. There's ice cream. People love ice cream, especially around here. I don't really feel like ice cream. Cool, 'cause I don't either. She flicked her finger up and another ice cream place showed up. Milk tea, moo-moos, frozen treats with an unfortunate cartoon mascot. I like ice cream. It's just not for today. There has to be something else. You thought on it and Terry kept scrolling. You heard a door open and Cove reappeared. God, you would mess up a bowl of ice cream right now? Yeah, that sounds really good. Dude, hot summer nights and a bowl of ice cream? Oh, that's so good. You're about to be surprised at how quick he was, but then noticed he'd just thrown on a t-shirt over his swim trunks and slipped a pair of sandals on. Of course. Hey. Everyone else exchanged their respective greetings and then looked back at Terry's phone. Terry scrolled further and then made an interested exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are. She shoved her phone into your face. It seemed like a cute shop. They didn't show any pictures of the actual building, but the food seemed good. It was one of those places that put a lot of effort into presentation, with branded wrapping for the crepes and well-applied toppings. Weird. Never heard of it. I haven't either. Mysterious. But crepes are so good. You're just eating peaches? Oh, peaches sound really good, too. I love fruit. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the photos. I'd go. It's not too far, but we could drive. Terry cheered at the success of a plan made, and you all walked around to Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. You wrote "wash me" in the dirt on his car. You waited for Cove. Terry leaned back against the car door as the group stood by for his return. The car beeped and unlocked. Cove ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face and he brushed it back. Shotgun! She clambered into the passenger seat without hesitation. He didn't argue and climbed into the back with Miranda. Terry activated the directions on her phone map and acted as their navigator, directing Cove to the crepes. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn into a non-existent road once, and wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a left turn, but with Terry looking at the actual path, it went smooth enough. You were led to a small stall in a parking lot rather than a full building. That explained why there hadn't been pictures of the crepery's interior, and why it was new to you despite living in this town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to and one for cars to drive up to. Cove parked with a laugh. I don't think I need to put a shirt on for this, but I still want to try it. Let's go. Do you not trust us to eat in your car? She gestured to the drive-thru option. Cove shook his head with a snort. I trust some people here, maybe, but wouldn't it be more fun to actually check it out? Everyone acknowledged his point and piled out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had crepes. Apparently, they'd been a dessert explosion, topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure had to be cake icing. That's sweet. Literally, it was so good, but I regretted it so much. I couldn't finish it, and I really tried. You can do it this time, Randy. Wow! Look at it, it's a little crepe shop. That's so cute. There were some laughs. When you got up to the menu, you realized that there were more than just crepes. There were definitely crepes, many crepes. However, the stall also had a lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, milkshakes. Jackpot! She grinned and held out her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vaguely turkey-shaped hand configuration they had made and then slowly put their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched in a smile. You stepped up to order first. You glanced back at the menu. Ooh. Let's indulge. You get a crepe and a drink. Hello, I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you taking the orders. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, you wanted... Ooh. Oh, a green tea one? Sounds so good. These all sound really good. Let's go green tea. For the fillings and toppings, you picked... Wow, we have so many choices. I want, oh, condensed milk and whipped cream. Whipped cream. Mango slices. Strawberries. Why not? Let's do bananas too. And condensed milk. That was all. After you picked the size, you're asked what you wanted to drink. You ordered... Well, you guys are learning my personal preferences. If you were in this situation with me, this is exactly what I would order. If these were my choices. Ice green tea, banana... Whoa! Coffee frappe, vanilla milkshake. Oh, that sounds good. A milk tea. Let's see. I had so today when I went to that boba place, I had an oolong tea with the like cream foam on top, and then I also got. So I was surprised because I haven't seen this in a while, or like a lot of places don't usually do this. So this place had peach jelly, but it was like star-shaped peach jelly. So I thought that was really cute. I got peach-shaped jelly in my oolong tea. It was really yummy. I guess we could call that a milk tea. You could also add a mix-in or toppings for the drink. Let's see. For this drink, if it's milk tea, we'll go boba. Classic. That was all. Oh, how nice, we can order it. Yeah, exactly. You will forget this and just get an avocado flavored boba. That I am totally fine with, because I love an avocado smoothie. You paid and stepped aside to let your friends order. Cove got a lemon crepe with powdered sugar on top and mixed berries. Oh, that sounds really good, too. He also got a plain strawberry smoothie. Terry went crazy with toppings. Although she ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. Whoa, that sounds really good. I do love the combination of banana and chocolate. Miranda opted for a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk. Don't what, me gone puppy? Avocado smoothies? Hold on. If you have never had an avocado smoothie before, you must absolutely try one. Or try to find a place that makes them. Usually, like, you can go to, like... Usually most, like, Vietnamese places will have this. So, like, an avocado smoothie. It's usually made with, like, vanilla ice cream. Or, like, some kind of, like, vanilla base. And then with avocado. And it's just, like, so creamy and smooth and delicious. It's amazing. No, you don't understand. It's so good. I implore you to try it at least one time. He had an avocado flavored boba and it was a 3 out of 10. Aw. Yeah, it really depends on the place, because I've seen some places that will offer it, but they don't do a very good job at it. No, Alden, how dare you? Avocado is amazing. I've only ever had avocado with savory things, never sweet. Yeah, I've had it both ways, because growing up, my dad, Papa Pascal, he enjoys taking like an avocado and then sprinkling sugar on it. And that I always thought was weird. But then I tried it one day and I was like, you know what, that's not that bad actually. It's pretty good. And also, you can make like a really, well, I say really, but like you can make a healthier alternative for like chocolate pudding. Like minus the gelatin. You just take an avocado, like a ripe one, okay? Not a hard avocado that's not ready to be eaten. A ripe avocado with cocoa powder, and you blend it, and it basically has the same consistency as a pudding, and it tastes exactly like a pudding. It is really good. What's everyone's favorite boba or dessert? Good question, Kitty. For me, my favorite dessert is creme brulee. I am a big fan of like desserts that use like a, what do you call that? Like a custard base. So I also really love one of my favorite desserts is like a fruit tart. So it'll be like it'll have like some kind of crust of some sort, and then usually it'll be filled with like that custard like pudding or a filling, and then it's topped with all the little fruit. You know, strawberry milk tea and cheesecake. Oh, cheesecake sounds. Oh, I think I talked about it before, but I had this really good cheesecake from this bar one time. It was amazing. It was like a coconut cheesecake, and I think about it to this day. It's so good. Oh my god, why would I do to have that cheesecake again? Oh, I didn't answer the boba question though. Usually, I have my favorites, but I will generally try to pick something. So it kind of depends. I will, depending on where we're going, I usually will try either like, we'll opt to try like something different. So usually anything that's like only seasonal or there for a limited time. I always like trying those things if it sounds appealing enough. But if I just really, really feel like I gotta go with what I'm craving, it's usually gonna be like some kind of tea, maybe with or without milk. Yeah, and then for like toppings for boba, usually just like classic brown sugar boba, or if it's a fruit tea, then I usually will choose jelly instead. Sorry to disappoint. I'm not a boba fan. You enjoy your banana shakes because oh, banana shakes! Dude, I love making banana shakes with protein powder, frozen banana, and then vanilla protein powder and peanut butter powder. It's so good. I love peanut butter and banana. Amazing. You never had it. Your favorite dessert used to be a pecan candy since my grandma could make it. Oh, I think someone else was talking about this candy before in a stream like a long time ago. Someone brought that up and I was like, that sounds really good. Cheesecake slaps, yes. No, gone puppy, no. Don't give him time out. You're talking about so many good food, about how many businesses that sell them that are closed. No. Yeah. Oh, your mom makes pecan brittle? That sounds amazing. Dude, I haven't had these in a really long time, but have you ever had or like seen those like caramel pecan turtles? Like it's a little like dollop of caramel and chocolate, and then you use like the pecans to make like the arms, the heads, and the legs. Like a little sea turtle. I haven't had one of those in a long time because those are hard to chew. Like I enjoy the flavor of caramel. I don't particularly enjoy like having caramel stick to my teeth. You forgot your favorite dessert, Costco chicken. Oh, mine too. You're so right. Costco chicken, my beloved. I heard what you ordered, Calico. Glad I'm not the only one to go for a drink and a crepe. I couldn't just pick one. And why not? True. We treat ourselves. Exactly. It's gonna be good. Calico, man, your crepe is gonna rock. High five for topping appreciation. Yes. She held out her hand expectantly. Gave her a high five. He hit her hand with a satisfying smack. You've been eating it at like 3 a.m.? You can't go wrong with eating protein late at night. Order for Calico. Oh, I've got to get that. He grabbed your order. The others didn't make much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a tentative sip. Terry nodded acceptingly with her mouth completely full. Miranda tilted the frappe over to her with a grin. Terry sipped it and clearly loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You could tell that there was an intent to make it look nice, but with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Midnight lifting sesh, midnight protein sesh, back to back. Oh yeah. If I had an at-home gym, you have no idea. It would just be like after stream gym session at home. That sounds amazing. Right before bed. Yes. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and sighed happily. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp of Miranda's drink. They had both only gotten one thing, probably because I knew they'd end up sharing. Oh, that's cute. That's sweet. I always enjoy letting my friends taste whatever I get to. Wow. Cove, do you want to share ours? Can I join the sharing? Yeah, I always offer for everybody to try a taste. You held your order up a little, bringing it to attention. Your friends looked at you, curious. Anyone want some? Yes! Dibs! You can't call dibs on someone else's food. Except that I did. Everyone can try it if they want. Thanks! That's so nice! Miranda took the first round and then, with a smirk, passed on your order to Cove instead of Terry. Oh, Randy, my dibs.
Sorry.
Sorry, you can't claim Calico's stuff. Fine, I can wait for it. Chuckling, Cove seemed to greatly enjoy his taste and didn't pass it on to Terry until he'd stopped chewing slowly. Finally, she accepted your order with gusto and took her taste.
Thank you.
It's so good. Thanks, Calico. He gave your reply in between sips of Miranda's frappe and munches of Cove's crepe. With that, Cove started to eat his treats in earnest. You saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, and then without swallowing, he added a bite of his lemon crepe. Interesting combination, but that sounds good. There's a gym at the hotel you're at, Takiri. You have to go work out for me. You have to check it out for me. Tell me if it's actually, like, nice. Cove? Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to Cove.
So?
Care to make a trade? Sure. Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on, with crepe bits and toppings being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. He kept going down the way, eating, drinking, and chatting. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently, you were about to just walk right out into the middle of nowhere. Terry took her mouth off of Miranda's jaw and stopped sipping the frappe. Impossible! Preposterous! How are we already at the end? I always forget how tiny this town really is. Cove chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe.
I guess.
It kinda is, huh? Didn't feel that small when we were growing up. It definitely felt bigger then. It always seemed like there wasn't much here. There are tinier places out there. You guys are lucky to live in decent-sized cities. You quietly nodded along, you shrugged. Definitely felt bigger. There was a time when Sunset Bird had felt huge. It seemed as endless as the ocean. There was always some street you hadn't wandered down, something new for the tourists. But now, you'd realize it was just a pawn in this big, big world. Saying the definite end only reinforced this. Here was a boundary that proved your hometown could be walked out with ease. I guess this means we should probably head back. One doesn't just walk into Noriland. We're not only one, Terry. There's four of us. Terry scrunched up her face, not wanting to acknowledge the bad joke. She decided to ignore it. It stinks having to go all the way back. Yeah, but it's not like there's anything out that direction. And if we did keep going forward, it'd be an even longer trip home. He stared off into the stretch of road as Cove agreed that he didn't want to go out any further. Can we take a break here first before we turn around? We've been walking for a while and someone finished my drink. Right on cue, Terry loudly sucked air from the straw. It was so good. Miranda looked at her, but Terry remained unrepentant. In the end, though, it was agreed to hang around the sign before heading back to the car. It didn't take long to finish the rest of the food and drinks. Everyone gathered up the trash and stuffed it into bags and pockets for now. The group relaxed on the grass, keeping account of all the cars that drove past. It was not a high number. 14. The newest passing car drove into town from somewhere outside. But as the vehicle came by, it slowed down and you watched as it ultimately rolled to a complete stop. The black car parked right by the now leaving sign. Everyone exchanged a baffled look. But then the tinted window rolled down and the driver peered out. As soon as you saw his hair, you recognized him. No one else you knew presented themselves so distinctively. Oh no, it's him. It's Oreo guy. Hey neighbors. Cove also jolted with recognition. He pasted on a cordial smile and waved politely. Afterwards, he put his mouth back over the straw of his long empty drink as if trying to act cool. Fight him! He waved at him. Hi! He just wondered what he was doing here. He wished he hadn't stopped to chat. He smiled and were excited to see him. What's he doing all the way out here? Demon Oreo, no. It's pretty random to just so happen to come across someone like Baxter. He seemed to be driving into town as well, so you wondered what his day had looked like. He looked sharp and sophisticated, like he'd just done something professional. Well, if it was now professional to look a little goth, that is. I wouldn't even call his attire goth. That is like... that's not even goth. This is like... I don't even know. Extremely goth light. And you thought about that odd picture this made. A fancy black car pulled over to talk to a group of teens, mostly still in beachwear. Miranda was incredibly confused and shrank back to watch. Terry tilted her head in an unspoken question. Cove made a quick gesture pointing towards Baxter, and a light bulb went off for Terry. Ah, that's the new person in the condo! The bee man, right? Yeah, Baxter. Oh, I wasn't sure if I'd ever actually see him. Her voice was quiet. Miranda usually got shy around new people. Terry was quite the opposite. Incredible! This is perfect. Terry hopped up from the grass and ran to Baxter's car, all full of excitement. Behind her, Miranda picked herself up and dusted imaginary dirt off her clothes. She sent a searching look to you and Cove, to which Cove shrugged. Miranda nodded and, with clenched fist, hesitantly followed Terry. Terry bent down to talk to Baxter through his window. She blasted through introductions, with Miranda putting in a shy wave. Cove looked at you. He still clearly had no intention of going over. Encouraged Cove to come. Come on, let's go on and see him. Cove pouted, his cheeks flared out in a childish puff. I don't want to. I don't know what to say.
Fine.
You can go. I'll just wait until he's gone. You really should come. You can do it. Do you want to be the only person who doesn't go see him? Well, why can't you stay here with me instead? You sighed. He was definitely going to be difficult about this. Some days, he really was that same grouchy 8-year-old who you met all those years ago. No, Tetsuya Nomura is not goth. He's from the suburbs. I know, rolling my eyes too. If he is goth, then so am I. Yeah, I think we're all goth now. You stayed with Kobe, went over to Baxter. You physically pushed him towards the car. Do you really hate him that much? You're coming with me. Not willing to mess around anymore, you strode over behind him and used both hands to force him up and over to the car.
Come on.
No, Calico. Ko put up a meager wall of resistance but got to his feet. He didn't want to keep being poked at. Slowly, progress forward was made until you two arrived at the driver's side car window. Baxter smiled welcomingly. Hello. Hey. Cove greeted him mildly, his expression cautious. Howdy, Baxter. Baxter gestured to Miranda and Terry. I just rented this car for my stay here and was coming back from a bit of sightseeing when I spotted your crowd. Then these two were kindly introducing themselves. Yep, it's only polite. Speaking of polite, Baxter is giving us a ride. I was asking him to. What? Baxter shrugged guiltily, seeing Cove's dramatic reaction. Shrugged guilty. The offer is open. And we're taking it. Okay. You were just happy to get a ride. You were kind of annoyed that Terry did this. You felt uncomfortable to be getting a ride from Baxter. It doesn't matter who, so we don't have to walk all the way back. Regardless of anything else, you didn't have to walk back. That's what counted, and you were grateful to Terry for arranging it. Yeah, I didn't ask. Alrighty, plan made. Let's hop in. You excitedly opened the passenger side door and buckled yourself in. The car was pristine, and you were right near the new car scented air freshener. Baxter had the air conditioner on cold, but low so it was pleasantly cool inside. A nice relief from the summer sun you had been baking in all day. His vibes scare you. Your friends clambered on in back. It definitely seemed the slightest bit squished back there.
Does that sound alright?
Oh god. Welcome to my vehicle. I hope everyone is comfortable, and if someone could point me in the right direction, we can be on our way. Terry went back to navigator mode and outlined their journey. It was basically a straight line with one turn at the end into the parking lot. Baxter nodded from up in the driver's seat and pulled back into the road. Luckily, the street was still dead empty. It took no time at all for Baxter to park right next to Cove's car. There wasn't even enough time for a proper conversation to start. The occupants didn't seem to mind. There were smiles all around when Baxter parked next to Cove's car. Woo! Miranda clapped quietly as Terry cheered. Cove chuckled nervously. You smiled. Yeah, you clapped as well. You nudged Baxter in a friendly way. You relieved you had made it. The trip had gone without issue. Baxter hadn't sped excessively or stopped for another set of teenagers in swimsuits. He'd just driven down the road and now you were here. You sighed a breath of relief and put your hand on the door handle. We've arrived. That was easy. Terry flung open her door and climbed out. Everyone else exited the car as well. The group thanked Baxter with varying degrees of enthusiasm. Baxter himself got out too. Everyone congregated again in front of Baxter and Cove's cars. Terry bounced over to Baxter and offered her hand for a handshake. He accepted it easily with a charming grin. You're a pal. You're too kind. It was no trouble whatsoever. I'll be keeping this car all the summer. If it suits you, you're welcome to take my number and give me a ring whenever you're in need of another ride. And that goes for everyone here. I have a car. Terry busted into laughter and Miranda fidgeted. She did not know what to do with that. Baxter really went fast, didn't he? He noticed her discomfort and smiled with a soft tilt of the head. I'd be happy to help again, but that's the only reason I offered. If you don't need it, you can pass on it. What the hell? No way. He stayed silent. When her giggles subsided, Terry put a hand on her chin with brows furrowed. I wonder, would that option be available right now? You could valet us somewhere cool.
What?
Cove was taken aback. He put a hand on the hood of his car. Weren't we going back to the neighborhood? Wasn't Baxter going back to the neighborhood too? Why would we go somewhere else? Because we can. Miranda squirmed nervously and then committed to piping up.
Maybe?
We could go to the park near my place. It's a really nice place to hang out. You and Cove shared a look. The big park was pretty nice. Let's do it. Baxter tapped the side of his face and thought.
It's doable.
This Baxter character makes me think of that author of this visual novel as a firm believer that cops are school shooters. Oh no. He glanced at Cove and then switched focus to you.
Well,
Again, he's not even goth. Well, we have 2 cars. If some people want to go to the park, I could still take the others home. But if everyone's going, it wouldn't make sense for me not to. Decided to go back to the neighborhood with Cove. He wanted to continue the hangout session at the park. Nah, I want to go home. He would rather go back for now. You let the group know. Both girls frowned. Neither wanted to leave you or Cove behind. Terry especially looked troubled and started bouncing in place. Today is all about us hanging out. We can't just bail. Miranda nodded and bit her lip. We don't have to go to the park. Going back to the neighborhood has plenty of appeal. It could prove to be the better idea. Cove winced and shook his head.
Don't worry about it.
No, really, it's fine. We've done plenty of hanging out today. If you want to go to the park, you should. You don't have to worry about us. Go have fun with Baxter. Okay. She didn't sound too thrilled, and Miranda patted her on the shoulder.
okay.
Guess we'll see you later then? Probably. Cove smiled, and she rolled her eyes at his wishy-washy answer. He knew you'd be seeing them again. Everyone finished saying their goodbyes, and the 3 climbed into Baxter's car. You waved, you nodded, you watched. Bye-bye. Terry waved back with both hands and enthusiastically, while Miranda waved like a princess from the back seat. Before Baxter drove off, he inclined his head to you and Cove. Then Baxter rolled down his own window.
See you.
Have a safe journey back. I'll see you around the neighborhood. Baxter started to pull out of the parking lot, and Cove waved them off, stepping forward as they pulled away. Then it was just you and Cove left in the parking lot. He rubbed his hands together for a moment and unlocked his car. He got into the shotgun seat this time, and Cove took his place at the wheel. He put his key in the ignition and turned to you. I'm surprised he didn't want to go. I was ready to go back. Cove smiled satisfied, and finally turned his key to start the car. Even like how he puts his hands in his pockets or how he stands. Yeah, he's hiding something. He looks like the main male lead in a Fae young adult romance novel. The car ride back passed quickly. They were all familiar roads you'd seen before. Soon, you'd return to the comfort of your own neighborhood. Cove pulled in and parked. He shut off his car, then you both got out to stand in the road. I guess that's it. Thanks for the ride, Cove. I'll see you later. Uh-huh. It was fun. Pleasant farewells given, you walk to your front door. You completely change out your swimsuit and into more comfortable clothes. That was definitely a benefit of coming back. Time ticked by as the sun started to set. Orange gold light streamed in through the windows. You could tell the weather was still really nice out there. Your attention was taken by your phone. You saw it right away as your phone was in your hand. Miranda's personalized text tone sounded. It pinged on your desk. At the top of the screen, a little alert told you that you had a new message. Hi, Calico. We're gonna see fireworks. Do you want to come? Oh. And Terry texted Cove. He said he'll be there. How did their trip start at hanging out in the park and end at finding some previously unknown fireworks spectacle? It was definitely news to you. Fireworks? No, sorry, sad face. I'm tired, okay, yes, I'd love to. Well, if Cove's going, there's no way we can't join. Fireworks was kind of out of the blue, but sounded like a lot of fun. That was something you couldn't miss. Miranda sent back a cheery smiley face not even 5 seconds later. Then you got a yay, and she sent another message that told you that Cove would be out at his car soon. You quickly got yourself ready and headed out into the world once more. On the way, you sent a message to Cove that you were coming. He texted that he was already outside. Just as promised, Cove was waiting by his car. He hadn't bothered to change at all, and he was quite comfortable going around in swim shorts. He slipped his phone into his pocket and waved you over. Without needing to say a thing, you got into the shotgun seat. That's reserved for me. Cove looked over to you from the driver's side and smirked as he started up the car. Here we go again. Yep. He pulled out into the road and raced towards the city as the sun continued to sink below the horizon. When city lights sparkled around you, Cove started looking for a parking spot. It had been a smooth drive, but unfortunately finding parking was a task. He tried to text Miranda to see where they had parked, but she had admitted that there hadn't been any openings around there. They had gotten lucky with one single spot. Cove had to drive around a few blocks, but finally he spotted something. He pulled in and parked, feeling just as triumphant as if he'd won an actual prize. That's how it always feels when you manage to find the parking spot. Ooh yeah. Fireworks equals character development. Yes! Our summer romance. Let's go. Terry sent you a text saying to hurry up and get to the waterfront. Miranda attached a helpful picture of where they were. You pointed the way to Cove, and the two of you jogged around a bend and then down the brick-lined walkway. Eventually, you saw 3 silhouettes in the distance. They started to wave and yell. One of them jumped in place with their arms going back and forth. They had to be your friends. You rushed over to them. Miranda and Terry ran up to meet you halfway with faces full of smiles.
Hey,
We missed you! Buddies! I knew the day wasn't over for us. Hey, guess you were right. I'm happy we made it. Baxter had stepped up at some point too. He ran a hand through his hair, trying not to interrupt the reunion. Hello. Hey. Cove gave him a nod. With the band back together, the group walked back to the area where Baxter, Miranda, and Terry had originally set up at. It was quiet. Oh, it was a quiet open area on the waterfront. Cove let out a relieved sigh after things calmed down. So, did we miss anything? Nah, you're good. Nothing's happened yet. We think it's gonna start really soon, though. What are these fireworks even for? Well... She smiled a big grin at Miranda. Randy talked about watching fireworks at the park, and that reminded me about how there's this big company having an event tonight. I heard they were gonna have fireworks. There's no way we were ever getting into that party, but... She put a finger up, and her smile turned devious. I'm positive we'll still be able to see the fireworks from here. They can't hide explosions in the sky from the public. That's ridiculous. You suddenly wondered how Terry had convinced Cove to come without prior explanation. He was utterly stunned that this was the source of the fireworks. To be fair, you hadn't asked Miranda for the details either. Cove scratched his head in defeat. I guess we're already here. It's kind of too late now. You bet your wet blanket it's too late. She shook her head with exasperation, but let him off with minimal teasing. He felt excited. He thought this was kind of a silly situation. You were nervous about how close the fireworks would be. You felt pretty laid back about the whole thing. I'm excited. The spontaneity of the whole thing combined with the amazement of fireworks was a recipe for you to be bursting with anticipation. It couldn't start soon enough. Terry led Miranda to sit down on the oval slabs along the path. Miranda took a seat and began tapping her knees together as she waited. Terry, meanwhile, crouched more than sat. Baxter smiled politely and looked from you to Cove. He seemed to be waiting for one of you to speak first rather than wanting to directly start a conversation. Something seemed to strike Cove as he tried unsuccessfully to hide a smile. Most of us are in swimsuits. Wearing beachwear in the middle of the day, in the middle of the city, in the dark, while waiting for a fireworks show, was clearly the joke of the day for him. Cove snorted once and then looked back up at the sky. Wow, fireworks! A flash lit up the sky with a brilliant green. Your eyes flew off the building in the distance and silently watched with bated breath. You heard a second boom and a red firework lit up the night. Woo! The show's starting! It's so pretty! They came running over to get closer, positively beaming. Terry pressed herself to the waterfront fence, getting as close as physically possible without just going swimming again. More fireworks went off, shooting out hundreds of tiny sparkling lights. The colors stood out starkly against the dark of the night. The biggest ones wash your surrounding with their hue, turning your world blue, then red, and then golden. Did I deliver, or did I deliver? Miranda's eyes glittered, and she slightly bumped Terry with her hip. Good job. Terry stumbled at the friendly nudge, but was pleased with the compliment. She grinned back. Miranda lightly swung her hips the opposite way to give you a bump as well. It was friendly and soft. We did it! You smiled at her and nodded. You were pleased that you hadn't missed any of the show after all. You were glad that everyone seemed to be having a good time. Cove stared up at the sky with wonder, while Terry squealed in joy after a series of especially grand explosions. Miranda pointed to one that was shooting up and then gasped when it bloomed and turned into a huge sphere of violet light. Baxter smiled in appreciation. It was good to see your friends in high spirits. The rest of the group huddled around the railing to take in the show as closely as possible. Miranda stood close by. Terry's hands gripped the top. Cove laid his arms across it while leaning forward, and Baxter rested his elbows on the rail, putting his back towards the fireworks. He seemed to have more fun watching the others than the actual show. Ooh! She pointed out a golden firework and beamed. Ah, that's so cool! Terry held up a hand for a high five and Miranda obliged her. Terry whooped and shot you a smile. What color do you think the next one will be? Without giving Baxter a glance, Cove answered immediately. Green. It was orange. Baxter chuckled, but wasn't interested in calling Cove out for being wrong. Is that your favorite color? Green. It's one of them. I think that's nice. It matches you. And is yours black? That's one of them. Cove smirked just a little and left the conversation there. Stand next to Cove. Baxter's being nosy. Cove looked away from the fireworks and grinned at you. He was glad to be spending time with you and tilted his head at a spectacular multicolored firework above. I think that's been my favorite so far. He shot you another look and nodded, wanting you to move up closer. In front of him, you could see the night's lights reflected on the water. Rested your arm on Cove's shoulder. You leaned your body against Cove. You stayed like that. You stretched an arm up and then let your elbow land on Cove's shoulder. He made a surprisingly good armrest. He leaned a little bit closer and shifted so that it was a little more comfortable. You took a moment to watch him and the fireworks reflected in his eyes. Cove grinned like a kid. Cove's gaze drifted from the show of dazzling lights straight at you, and he sighed dreamily. You didn't know when you'd last seen him so blissful. The spectacle continued to up the ante by bringing more fireworks out at a time. The colors danced across the sky and reflected over the water. You reached out a hand and watched as it was tinted green while a big boom sounded. Fireworks were a normal summer tradition, but this was admittedly an unconventional approach. Showing up in the city last minute to watch a display from a technically private event, that made this feel special in a way that just planning to go to a public fireworks show never would. Terry's idea may not have left you with a lot of time to prepare, but it sure led to a unique situation. It was clear this was an unforgettable night. As the finale sounded, blazing the sky with unbelievable beauty, you remembered thinking that there might never be a night exactly like this one again, not for the rest of your life. You planned to hold on to the feelings you had in that moment for as long as you could. Wow! What a nice summer day. Actually, like an entire day. We went from all the way till morning and to the evening. He comes off as a token Mr. Perfect is trying too hard. I guess we'll find out if he's a Gary Stu next time. Parks are so pretty, but they overstimulate me. Aw, I'm sorry. I'm glad that you still are able to enjoy them visually. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to stop here for now. We obviously still have the rest of Step 3 to go through and then the end of the summer. You got hit by a firework last year? Oh no, Gone Puppy. I'm so sorry. Hopefully the experience didn't ruin your perception too much of fireworks. But yeah, I mean, I didn't anticipate that this episode would be like, I'm calling that episode this chapter, whatever you want to call this little section. I didn't anticipate it to be this long, but I also, I guess, just I didn't want to end 20 minutes early because we finally got to the screen at around like 9:40. So I'm glad that we were able to at least get a little taste of step 3, and we still have plenty to go. Oh, you have that and then the age up. Oh, there's still more. Okay, so there's still a lot to see. Wow, I thought, honestly, that we were gonna get to the end. But I'm glad there's still so much to see with this game. It's very comfortable. It's fun and enjoyable. I really like the characters, and I love like getting to read and enjoy the experience with you guys. You want to see the rest now? I'll try to plan it so that it's not too long before we come back to our life again. Make sure to save. Yes, thank you, the kitties. Thank goodness. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, so again, the waiting room is not out yet, but as a reminder, next Thursday there will be a stream, but earlier than normal. It's gonna be at 1 p.m. PST. Have you played Blooming Panic? I have not. I also have not heard of it before. Is it also a visual novel? The kitty, you just got to send me all your visual novel recommendations, because visual novels are one of those things that I don't see a lot of streamers stream. For obvious reasons. I think a lot of people like enjoying either doing the visual novel themselves, or, you know, they are just not into visual novels. So I think it'd be nice if I could do more visual novels in the future. I mean, like, I will obviously love to play like a lot of different games, but I don't see a lot of people play VNs, and I think it's a lot of fun. And you know, I had some ideas for stuff in the future regarding visual novels, but I'd like to see, you know, if there's more interest in it. Obviously, I really enjoy it a lot, so that's something I'd like to make more available for people. It's like a Discord server in a visual novel. Whoa! I will have to look into it. You have such a nice voice to listen to, so this stream works out great. Aw, I'm glad you think so. Thank you! I try, again, I'm not a professional voice actor or actress by any means, so hopefully I still am able to read like eloquently enough and with enough emotion that it's a little entertaining. I'm sure my silly comments are fun too. But yeah, so next week, again, not entirely sure what I'm gonna play just yet, but yeah, just be on the lookout for it. It will be much earlier than normal. But then, let me see, I think, so yeah, that'll be next Thursday, and then, yeah, then the Thursday following, which is the 1st of August, we'll just be back to our normal schedule, so it'll just be Thursday at 7 like usual. Your favorite otter? I'd have your voice on because if I ever turn into a book. Oh, I'd be honored. I actually, you know, I did think about it, because I often sometimes see like people putting out voice acting calls for like their own projects, or, you know, whatever they're working on, and I consider it, but I don't have any sort of like voice reel put together. And I, again, like as a not professional voice actor, I don't really, I mean, I have my ranges, but I think I don't know how to really like lock in like keeping one tone for like a specific character or vice versa. I think it's a little bit harder with a visual novel. Obviously, there's a lot of text that you have to read, so it's kind of like there's going to be fluctuations in my voice, as well as a lot of flubbing because I guess I am illiterate. I have trouble reading sometimes when I'm going kind of fast, or maybe it's just that like, my brain is processing faster than what I can spit out. My voice matches one of the cat's OCs. Ooh, I would love to see who you think my voice fits. That's always the other thing that I have always thought is fun about voice acting. I'm always curious to see like where someone would fit me. Like what would they cast me as? What kind of character do you envision with someone with my voice, or like the range of my voice? But yeah, so with that being said, I think that's all I had to say with stream stuff for the next couple weeks or so. What do I think I could be casted as? I feel like the easiest thing to cast me as is probably just like, I don't know, probably like an older, not like very old, I'm not talking like senior old, but like an older adult character. I feel like I could maybe do a little kid too, but that would require a little more like focus, because I feel like it's hard to nail like a little kid voice without making it sound like corny. Because you, as an adult trying to voice a child, it's like, I don't know, it's really hard to pull off well, I think. 95-year-old man type voice. Yes. God, Mubby, you are so right. Just like in the old days. Best friend of your OC, Blossom Paw. Her name is Misty Paw, and she's adorable. Oh, that sounds very cute. I'd love to see your OCs as well. But, with that being said, I am going to leave you all with a good night. I hope you get comfy, do what you gotta do for the rest of your evenings. I very much need to eat. I have not eaten since this morning. I got so caught up in the whirlwind of doing my little boba adventure and then getting a free TV from my neighbor. Papa Pascal. No way, I don't think I sound anything like Papa Pascal. Yeah, and I'm sounding like Grandpa Pascal. Yes, good night everybody. Thanks for joining again, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye. Good night.